I heard Discovery Zone's got this excellent new Men in Black laser adventure. Save the Earth from the slime of the universe, and they'll make you an honorary MIB agent. There's this video wall, and birthdays are blasted, DZ. They're almost everywhere. Are you ready for the new DZ?
Welcome to the Digibowl on Fox Kids with your host, Terry Bradshaw.
Look at me. I get to host the first Digibowl. The first. Super Bowls, they come and go. But the Digibowl, now that's exciting stuff. But can't do it alone, so luckily I have two authentic Digi-Destins, Izzy and Kari, helping me. First, let's check in with my sideline correspondent, Kari. Maybe she can tell us what in the heck a Digibowl is.
この惑星の子供たちと呼ばれる存在にはおはようございます超授業だりんやそう全身でぶつかっていかなくてはならないもしよかったら付き合って声が小さいただ教師としてあるまじきそうよ分かったこの惑星の教育は加減が難しいでも君はいい教師になる缶コーヒーのボスレインボーマウンテン
will get cancer in the butthole. It'll burn and burn and burn. They won't be able to sit down because of the burning in their butthole. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole. God's going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. You're going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. If you thought that AIDS was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yo, listen! Here's a story about a little gal that lives in the blue world. And all day and all night and everything she sees is just blue. Like her inside and outside. Blue's her house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette. And everything is blue for her and herself and everybody around. 'Cause she ain't got nobody to listen, to listen, to listen, to listen.
to the Bombadcast.
What's up, Bombad fam? It's your boy, the Cannon Junkie. Welcome to another edition of the Bombadcast. And believe it or not, this is a Star Wars show. So we're probably going to talk about that here in a little bit. But before we do, welcome again to the Bombadcast. We do this little shindig every Thursday around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time. Do the math from there. For your own time zone. Google's a great tool. Just let me tell you. God damn. Sorry. I sounded like Donald Trump just then. Beautiful tool. Fantastic tool. It's great. Anyway, my apologies for assaulting your ears there. But you know what else we have on this channel? We have a little show on Wednesday nights called Bombad Gaming with my boy Scotty J-Ro. He plays any number of my God, I sound like a boomer explaining this. Listen, guys. Bombad Gaming. Scotty plays the Nintendos. He plays the Wiis and the all that. And well, William, you know what? Hyperfocus is going to be returning in July. That's all I can tell you for right now, but Hyperfocus is coming back. But guys, welcome to the Bombadcast. And before I get into, like, we made a big announcement last week, and before I get any farther into that, maybe the week before, I forget how long ago we announced the Patreon stuff, but I'm going to bring in my Bombad boyo, my bosom buddy, Scotty J-Ro.
Hey, Gerald. Look, I forgot we had agreed. I was doing the intro. I was supposed to do the intro, and I completely forgot. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like,
we had forgotten to play one clip, Jerry. You had one job, but you forgot to play the most important clip.
I did.
ボンバットファミリーと私たちのライブ放送へようこそ。私たちはあなたの視聴とリスニングの喜びのための素晴らしいショーを持っています。今あなたのホストスコッティ・ジェイロとジェリー・ケーブルに Stay Bombad を楽しんで覚えておいてください。
The best part of all this is Adam. Literally, Adam's waiting in the studio, the back area, and
he is.
Entire time he's been laughing.
We're 10 minutes in. We're 10 minutes in, and Adam has not even been on.
Oh,
real quick.
So,
like, I mean, we can bring him in, but can I talk about? Go ahead. What are you gonna say? I was gonna say, can I bring in?
let you plug the Amidala Initiative.
Listen, the Bombad Hive Mind continues. Guys, the Amidala Initiative is a collaborative community effort of 77 Star Wars fan creators, including Scotty and myself, who are spreading the word about this lovely charity that is benefiting Equality Texas for trans youth and their families and all the backwards ass laws that people are trying to push. But anyway, go check out them at Amidala Helps and donate to their GoFundMe. Please. It would be very, very Bombad of you all. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. Scotty.
Yep. I'm glad that you got to plug that in real quick. One thing I will say, actually, before we don't want to bore Adam with it, but next week we do launch our Patreon next Friday. Next Thursday, we do plan on having a special stream to where if you do join our Patreon that evening, you have the link to be able to call in and chat with us live, talk about whatever you want to talk about. And of course, we'll keep it in the Bombad lore. That's right, $7 a month. Or most importantly, or you can set your price. We already have two patrons that have found our Patreon by I don't even know, by accident. Maybe they were looking for it. If you want to look for it, you can definitely find it. But
very experienced hackers. Very experienced hackers. These two.
But the beauty of that is these patrons have already joined, and actually one of them has joined at a $1 tier. So that's something you can do as well. You don't have to join for the full $7. The perks it gets you is an exclusive call-in show, which we're running next week, a Patreon Discord group chat, bi-monthly care package from Jerry and myself, handwritten letter, a question and answer segment that can be both deep and silly, whatever you want to do, private live stream hangouts, which we'll be doing very soon, live watch-alongs, which I may do for the Stranger Things finale. So that'd be fun to watch along with me, because you know I don't mean to, but I got a hand a little bit. Shout out to the beginning and ending of every stream, and we actually are going to launch a very special Patreon commercial next week. That being said, we need to bring our guest in. We've been letting them wait way too far in the back there. Of course, Katie's not a patron. She has to deal with it in real life. But that being said, I want to bring in our great friend, Adam Frazier. He writes for Slash Film, and he writes for Pop and Pizza, his own little I guess you could say outlet. But with that being said, let's bring in the wonderful Adam Frazier. Adam, I love to have you here. Look at this beautiful man. Look at he's got the best
Look
shirt
at
on
him
too. Let's see the shirt,
Look
Adam.
at him.
I know you have it on. There it is. He's got it. Oh man.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to finally be here on the Bombadcast. It's been in the making for a long time, and I'm glad we could finally make it happen. So
I think the best part of it all comes down to the fact that, like, you have been such a good friend to us these past couple of years since we started 3 years ago. And, like, I've always seen you in the Twitter and stuff. But the beautiful thing that Adam does for us is that he writes for Slash Film. And I think it's every Friday, right, Adam?
Yes.
Isn't it every Friday?
Yep.
Every Friday he posts an article called Star Wars Bits. And he always makes the point to give, I guess you could say, positive or I don't even know what you would describe us as, just content creators, a shout out. And he always does people like, we got Podcast of the Wolves in here. They get one every now and then. You know, I got ATG Cast. They get on every week. So, like, you got these people that you do that for. And I want to say thank you so much for giving us that outlet. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think before I even knew you guys, Scotty, I think I had first seen one of your reactions to something, and I was like, I need to know this person. So it might have been the Rise of Skywalker trailer. I can't remember, but
every one of their brothers seen that one. Yes.
Yeah. Star Wars Bits is like a recap article that captures all the news of the week, but also I feature a lot of content creators and fan creators. And if you're listening to this right now and you have a channel, you have a podcast, you have a zine, you make custom figures, whatever it is you're doing in the Star Wars space, let me know about it on Twitter, because I love to get new fans into the mix. So
it's so crazy too.
You got to get some new blood in. Because me and Scotty, we're old dogs at this point.
Grizzled
so we need some fresh blood. And by the way, real quick. Listen, this has been a long time coming having Adam on, but you see Andy Lemire here of Hollow Chronicles saying, glad he got to meet briefly at Celebration. We got to meet at Celebration as well, and that was just beautiful. In fact, I got to see you the first day, and then I didn't see you again until the last day.
Yes. Yep, same thing happened to me. Literally, I saw you at the David. So Adam and I got lucky enough. We sat at the David Collins panel together, and there were some moments where like I would fist bump him. Oh, it was awesome.
So let me tell you about that, because it was absolutely crazy, because there was a fire drill. You remember the fire drill?
Yes.
Okay. So I was in that panel before the fire drill. So we all run out and we're standing outside in a random like loading dock area, and nobody knows what's going on. And finally, we sort of get the all clear to go back in. And as I'm going back in, I'm wearing the Stay Bombad shirt, and a guy is like, "Bombad," and I'm like, "Yeah." I don't know if he knows the podcast or he just knows the term or what, And so it was your friend Eric. Is it Eric?
Oh, no way, with the long hair. Yeah.
Ah, nice.
And he was like, oh yeah, I'm friends with those guys. I was like, oh, I saw Gerry earlier. I haven't seen Scotty yet. He's like, oh, he's I'm meeting him right now. Like he's going to be in the panel. And I was like, okay, that's crazy and weird. And so we go through the bowels of the convention center and stuff, and we come into the back into the room. And I saw you. I was like, what are the odds of this? Like, this is just so random. And so I just sat down right beside you like it was nothing. And that was great.
It was amazing. That's because incredible. The whole panel, there were obviously some David Collins, moments where he does make it a point to like have the aha moment where the crowd like goes crazy. And he did it this time with the melody and the rhythm where he did that little bit. Yeah. And like, I remember looking at you going, dude, this is sick. And it was funny, to be able to experience something like that together was such a special moment. And I don't know, were you at Kenobi that evening as well? Did you get to see the screening of it?
I was, but I was in
Okay.
the Galaxy stage.
Stage.
So I was
Okay,
in the
but-
streaming stage for it.
But that communal thing,
we can't all rub elbows
God.
with you and McGregor. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you know what's
They
funny,
let us
though?
in there with them though, which is weird.
I thought it was a weird bookend watching this finale because it felt like the very last, remnant of Celebration kind of coming to a close with that finale of Kenobi. Because I was like, man, we all got to experience that in person, but when it ended, obviously it would have been cool to see it together in person as well. But the ending felt so personal. It was weird. It was like group at the beginning, and then the ending was like super, like, I don't know, whoever you're sitting next to on the couch kind of thing. And I was blown away by it. Before we get into that, Adam, we ask every guest this question. What is your best, favorite, most fun? And before we started a long time ago, it was movie. But now we got so much content. What is your best, favorite, most fun, anything Star Wars related? Want to hear your thoughts. Anything.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with best. I feel like the best Star Wars thing right now is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hell
Deborah
yeah.
Chow is amazing. I was under the impression that we would all be like lighting incense and chanting for Deborah Chow tonight.
I have incense.
Hold on.
Look.
Okay, good. Yes.
I got
Deborah's amazing.
Holy water here.
The writing, especially the dialogue, has been great, as have the performances. And I think we'll look back at this series as maybe a shift in the overall quality of streaming series. And not to say that Mando or Book of Boba weren't high quality, because they absolutely are. But I just mean in terms of the thematic and the cinematic storytelling. It really feels like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maybe it's just because it's truly one story in 6 chapters, whereas Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian, not that they're anthology series, but I feel like there's a lot of sort of one-off episodes.
Very serialized. Right. It felt that way. Yeah.
It feels like this is really sort of kicking it up a notch, especially going into Andor, which is going to be 12 episodes that really feel like they're building to something. So
Jesus,
I think we'll look back at this as sort of a turning point, especially, for whatever lies ahead, other series. If Deborah Chow gets a movie, it's a crazy time.
It's weird.
Give her a movie. Give her my undying devotion, my soul, my eternal soul. Deborah Chow can have it all.
Yeah,
it's weird. I respect you for putting it as the best, because it was in every way watching it. I mean, there maybe was a single, and I wouldn't even say weak. Maybe there was one episode that could have had a little bit of a facelift, but the whole thing itself was cut so perfectly. I mean, that's a director's task, right? That to make sure that everything flows well and that everything is, I guess, tied up properly. And it certainly was. That's a great answer. I really like that you're saying that. And I agree, Lauren, right there. It is a great time. Like it feels very unified for I guess for right now. But
that is the thing that Kenobi did for me, that I honestly, if you did best favorite most fun for me tonight, I honestly might agree. I think I put my hat in with the ring
best.
with you there. It's the best. It's the best for me right now. It means a ton to all of us, but it's fantastic. Getting this after, we still have a pandemic going on, but getting this kind of after we've spent like all these years in exile and everything is just is really cool.
I agree.
But and it's something I've noticed is I've told Scotty and everyone here, this feels like the Kenobi from the prequels Kenobi, Clone Wars Kenobi, and they're all the same.
So good.
They're all the same.
So good.
Everything matters. Every part of the story is the canon. This is what they promised at the beginning. Not that they didn't deliver at the beginning, but it now is starting to feel like, all right, this is one universe. And I'm sorry. You can pull back out because I'm done.
We'll get to that. But Adam, your next one.
I don't my diatribe early.
It's all good. Favorite.
My favorite thing right now, and just to switch up the answers from Kenobi, is Shadow of the Sith.
Oh, yes! Gerry, I haven't started it yet. I got the audiobook. I'm waiting.
Scotty and I got a review copy.
I gotta know why. Why is it your favorite? You can give if you want to give maybe even something subtle away. What is it that makes it?
No. Not too much. I'm only on chapter 8. maybe
Chapter shit.
That's a
9.
weird chapter.
That's a
One
weird
chapter
chapter,
shit.
Gerry.
One chapter shit. It's my favorite chapter. Squelch my toes in it.
That's
You
Shadow
get
of
one.
the Shit, I believe that you're reading.
Shadow of
That's
the
a different
Shit.
book.
That's like a slang term for skid marks, right? Which is a slang term for poop marks in your underwear. Anyway, please continue.
Classing it up.
Make our show highbrow.
Yeah. So I'm just a little background here. I am 37. I was born in 1984. So I just missed the original trilogy experience, but I did grow up in the quote unquote dark times. And so when the EU boom of the 90s hit, that was really my moment to like coexist with new Star Wars material. And so I read the Thrawn trilogy. I read Dark Empire. I read Tales from Jabba's Palace and all those books in the 90s. And I can say with certainty that this is the most fun I've had reading a book since the 90s, a Star Wars
Damn.
book.
Wow.
It is the Shadows of the Empire of the sequel trilogy. It fills in gaps. It strengthens the connections between the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy. It even strengthens connections to stuff like the Aftermath trilogy. If you are a hardcore Star Wars fan, which if you're watching this, I believe you are, I think you're gonna love this book because for me, I love that it's a Luke Skywalker adventure. It's also a Lando adventure. There's a ton of great stuff with Lando in it. And I think if you liked Rise of Skywalker, which me personally, I loved it. But if you liked The Rise of Skywalker, you're going to love this book. And if you were underwhelmed by The Rise of Skywalker, or maybe you were left wanting a little more explanation than just somehow Palpatine has returned, right? This book fills in a ton of those.
Oh, really?
And
it's like everything you wanted so far. I'm again only like 8 chapters or so in.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's it's not like a bad fire hose of information, but it is filling it in very nicely. It's filling out the world.
You're gonna get some Ochi of Festoon. You're gonna get some Lord Santeca. You're gonna get some
Baby Ray,
Enric Pride, some Baby Ray and her parents who get names.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
wait,
maybe a little baby Ben Solo. There's a lot going on in this book, so it's
awesome.
really
cool.
Jerry told me the prologue is insane. So like I
right off the bat, I was like, what
it's like
the
a
hell?
tone poem. It's a tone poem kind of. And Adam, I stopped and listened to that thing. I rewound and listened to that one section. No lie, probably 6 times because I wanted to get every word. I wanted to take it in. It's metal as hell. It's so effing good. It's I don't know. To me, it really, I loved. It's a great descriptor of something that I don't want to give away right now. I don't know.
I can't wait.
I'd be very interested to check out the audiobook. I got like the e-reader Kindle version of it to read. And I just there's definitely passages in it where I was like, are we really doing this right now? Like, this is amazing. This is happening. So
I'm going to go buy it this Tuesday. The actual, I'm going to buy a physical copy as well. So I can go through and this is going to be a reference book for real.
Absolutely.
Wow. So that's your favorite right now. And I don't blame you. I'm literally, damn it. I got to finish Plagueis. I do a summer job where it's very monotonous work.
You need more. Trust me, you need more.
I do a summer job that's super monotonous. Like I scan papers for a whole summer for my school. And it's a fun gig. Don't get me wrong. Cause I get to listen to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts. And I started Plagueis. I'm halfway through Brotherhood and I don't want to start a third one. So I'm going to probably finish Plagueis next week and Brotherhood next week. And then those last 2 weeks of this gig, I am going to do nothing but listen to this book. That's a lot of praise. That is a lot of praise. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this leads us to our last one. Most fun.
I mentioned it earlier. Growing up, one of my favorite books was The Tales of Jabba's Palace. And I just read it over and over again as a kid. Like that one, The Tales of Mos Eisley, all those Tales books. I just read constantly. Yeah. I read Jabba's Palace until the cover fell off and I had to buy a new one.
Wow.
And the closest that I've come in modern history to that experience was watching the Book of Boba Fett. So that is my pick for the most fun.
Most fun.
That's awesome.
I know it might be a little decisive. Some people were meh on it, whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, growing up as someone who loved all the, the scum and villainy aspect of Star Wars.
Sure.
And Boba Fett being one of my favorite characters as a kid, because you could tell any story you wanted with a Boba Fett action figure. He could be any race, any species, any sex. He could be a robot. He could be a clone. He could be whatever. And so the Book of Boba Fett really was sort of a dream come true to get a series that all takes place on Tatooine, that all takes place at Jabba's palace, that features Boba Fett, the Hutt twins. Like, I'm just going to list off all the bonkers things that are in Book of Boba Fett. Max Rebo, Figrin Dan, Black Chrysanthemum, Cad Bane, Hutt twins, the Major Domo, Pelimoto, a Naboo starfighter. Do you remember that? There was a Naboo starfighter. Danny Trejo, Rancor Keeper, Mando and Grogu, Tashi Station, Tuskens, Train Heists, Matt Berry as 8D8. There was a Lep droid in this show. There was a Lep droid in this show. There was a Chef droid. It was absolutely wild. And I can't believe people just like either rolled their eyes or just were like, it wasn't that good. Like, are you kidding me? He took his ship and pointed it down into the Sarlacc and shot a sonic grenade into it. What do people want?
That's felt like Star Tours, but also the coolest thing in the world. And I was still so surprised when the
the Tusken lore.
I was calling out beak erasure in that, but I'm glad we kept to canon. Okay. You all know I'm a special edition purist, so there you go.
I loved how the beak was down in there like a chest burster from Alien. Yeah. Like it was just down in there.
It was so good.
Yeah.
One thing I will say too to that, I think it's most important to address the fact that obviously we got more Tusken culture, but we even got Luke back. Like I agree. There's a lot to be said about that show in general that most people are not giving its credit. I mean, obviously Mando was the surprise. We didn't know it'd be as good as it was. Boba Fett now feels like a little bit of like it's like the dessert meal, but now we've got the full main. We got the main course. It just came backwards.
This is the
steak. Main course is what we just ate. Oh my god,
sloppy steak.
Like when you sit down and do your Mandoverse rewatch, like Book of Boba Fett's going to just plug right into Mando season 1 and 2. Perfect. It's going to be fantastic. I just don't know why people got so hung up on that at the time when we all clearly knew that it's part of this overall story.
And they've said that too, right? That it's like almost like their MCU kind of a thing,
Yeah, even like when season 2 of Mando ended, it said, the next chapter of the Mandalorian saga is the Book of Boba Fett. So like I don't know. But again, you just brought up some stuff that I didn't even list there, like Luke and Ahsoka on the same screen together. Ant droids, a ring world. Like, what's going on?
Androids.
So
that's
much.
amazing.
Platoonian butcher shop. Like, what's going on?
Yes. So amazing. Ring world.
He chopped a guy in half and a desk at the same time. It was great.
Oh, what a special show!
And he cut his leg.
Anyway, and you got Viper droids and just walking through the streets blowing shit
god,
up.
Yeah, that Scorpion droid and Garsa Fwip.
God,
man,
and also an acid trip. We got an acid trip too with it. We got a peyote
crazy Bacta
lizard.
Yes.
With
all that being said,
robotics.
Sorry, I think I swallowed it.
The mod parlor. The like
see
Vespas. I mean, that show was crazy.
It was crazy. And you know what's funny? Like, obviously Obi-Wan had some weird things like that, but I gotta admit, I love that Favreau and Filoni stuff gets so like weird, like uncomfortable Star Wars weird, which is the best weird.
Like George weird almost.
Yes,
like with the pod race announcer weird.
Yes, or like the
I want them to come back so bad. Anyway.
Oh, they will. They'll make their moment. The conductor droid who's like,
oh my god, that was amazing.
Like,
yes,
so strange.
Oh my god.
So that being said, Gerry, it's your last time to play this intro. We're going to get into our Kenobi discussion right now. About 30 minutes in. Sorry, Adam. We've been nerding out pretty bad here.
No, it's great.
But that being said, let us see the Eopievision last time. One last time. Let's live in it. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, our last time talking
now,
to this.
To be fair, that's not going to be the last time we're going to play that. That's not going to be the last time we play the Eopie fart.
So
with the sentimental music.
This. I'm happy to say that we made it through Kenobi, and it's loved by most people, thankfully. That will not go away, like Gerry said. But with that being said, part of this whole experience is the Eopie, and you know what? We had a bookend with it. The Eopie came back, and that was a pleasant surprise. It was awesome. But real quick,
I still like to think about. I still want a name, even though I
hope we don't.
Apparently, it's in canon somewhere. Somewhere. Someone told me
it's Rue.
Yeah,
Rue is the name, but that's from the.
I want to hear it.
That's from the novel that was written by.
Right. That's from John Jackson Miller's novel, right?
Yes, Rue. And it's spelled like Louisiana. It's ROUX. I don't think it's that. I'm being stupid.
I want his name to be something like Patches. Something like something very earthly and like this is Mittens.
I'd like just something really plain and like David.
Yes. Fun fact, I'm a parent. I didn't find out till I was a parent that Elmo of Sesame Street fame has a doll, has a stuffed doll whose name is Baby David. No lie. Baby David is one of my favorite Sesame Street characters now. He's in Eleanor. We have a potty training book that's Elmo, that I've read to my kid before, and it has Baby David. He's teaching Baby David how to use the potty, and it's
Baby David.
Top tier.
Sweet Baby David.
Tier Star Wars. Sweet Baby David. Baby David.
Man. So to move on to the thing I think is most interesting about being a Star Wars fan is we all have our own I guess rituals when it comes to this stuff, especially when you watch this for the first time and knowing it was going to be the last time you'd see Ewan McGregor as Kenobi possibly, or Hayden Christensen as Vader. I think all of us maybe took a little bit more respect with this episode than the other ones. For example, I had never watched another one at 2 a.m. This is the first time I did that. Was it the same experience for all of y'all? Did y'all all stay up late or go to sleep early and wake up early for this?
So I usually, for the other episodes, I got up at 5 a.m. Eastern.
Same.
That's when my dog usually starts to wanting to go out. So it lines up. So I watched 3, 4, and 5 at 5 a.m. And then for this one, I did get up at 3 a.m. and watch it, and then I went back to sleep. Because
how could you? How could you? I mean that. Like how did you?
It was tough. It was like I was just laying there, just thinking about the duel like over and over again in my head.
Yeah,
and eventually finally passed out. Just like flat on my back, staring up at the ceiling, like, "What have you done to me, Deborah? What have you done to me?"
Turn. Yeah, exactly. So
you didn't kill Adam.
You watched it when it dropped. And did you have that moment of like panic when you saw, what was it, like 53 minutes or whatever it said? I did for a second. I'm like, oh my God, 50, what the hell? Like, that's so short.
I had sort of already conditioned myself for that. Not that I had any prior knowledge, but I just, I was really holding on to that for Book of Boba Fett. Like I wanted like an hour and a half finale.
Yes, of course.
And I think that one was around the same length, like 62 minutes or something like that, maybe. So I thought it would be around that.
Yeah. Wow. That's clever, because part of it was like, there was a lot of speculation because there was like a screening of it, and I think Australia of like, that was like 5.5 hours. That means the show could be an hour and a half long. Like it was a whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
But after, watching it was one of those experiences that I'll never forget. Gerry, what was your, I guess, viewing like? Was there any screams and crying? I'm sure we'll get to it.
Every episode of this show, there have been tears, many tears. And listen, y'all are cute and adorable the way you're like, I got up and then I went back to bed. I got up for my day. Every episode of this show after Celebration.
That's true.
Which is my normal. That's my routine. I got one of those industrial jobs. I watched it. I cried, screamed the F word a lot of times. I cheered. I ate a salad. It was great. I didn't eat a salad. I did eat 2 pints of ice cream the day before. I don't know if that was in preparation. Carbs for the shouting.
You got to get ready. You got to prepare.
No, no one right. What was funny is the night before I'm like sitting there like I need to go to bed. I'm like, but I'm so effing hungry, and I'm like, I remembered that I had. So yeah, anyway,
nice.
But yeah, I watched this. It destroyed it completely shook everything, the foundation of Star Wars that I've had in my brain for forever. And then I had to go to the potato salad store and mix.
That's where he works.
I work at it's an industrial, like we make like potato salads, like package them for grocery stores. It's a locally owned place, really cool. But yeah, sorry, Nick, our good friend of the show, Podcast of the Wills, Nick, called it the potato salad store before we started. So therefore, it is now the potato salad store in Bombad lore.
Oh, that's amazing.
But anyway, I went there and worked like a 10-hour day and had to just sit there like I didn't just watch Obi-Wan Kenobi cry at Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, and say, I'm so sorry. I had to pretend like that didn't happen.
We'll talk about that in a second. My viewing, very similar to Gerry. I went to sleep the night before around 8 p.m. or I tried my best to. Then I woke back up at 1. I jumped in the shower and I drove down to Celtic Studios, which is where my buddy Eric works, and we went and watched it in his little studio that he has for the gig he does. He's a wedding videographer, and we got to go like into the little screening area, and we watched it in a room like that, and it was like pitch black, dead silence, and like
that's incredible.
I don't know, it was a great experience that way, but the part of all of it was like just being able to like grab him, because him and I are such prequel fans and everything. And like, we always talked about this, like they need to throw this line in there. And there's a lot of lines that we'll get into in a second that like wrecked me. And like, he's not a crier. I'm way more of a crier. Our buddy Troy was there and his roommate, but like literally, I agree.
Yes,
literally watching it for the first time. Like I knew watching it, I'm like, oh my God, Gerry's going to love this moment. There's just some like subtleties to it.
Can I ask which moment that was? You said that earlier. Which moment?
Yeah,
was
Leia.
That? Was it a specific one?
Leia and Ewan talk. Well, Leia and Obi-Wan, when they had their like one-on-one talk at the very end, that absolutely destroyed me. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, like what a crazy thing we never expected. But that being said, I wanted to ask this, because this is one of those episodes where I think the general consensus would be that it's a perfect and it's a great episode. Whenever you turned your phone over, because when I watch these things, my phone's facing down the desk, I flip that thing over, and the first thing I look for is, Gerry and I are in a group text together. I'll sometimes go to Reddit and see like what they thought. I'll go to Twitter, because Twitter has to be, Twitter has to be, Twitter's very vague, because some people don't want to give it away. I even messaged Adam at like 3:50 in the morning my time. Like there was some people like I just like, if they're up, they're gonna respond. If they're not up, they'll see it later. What was the first thing you looked for? Like what was your initial reaction like from that?
My initial reaction was that Deborah Chow crushed it. I was like, wow, what an amazing finale. Like it delivered on all my hopes, for what I expected to see out of the rematch of the century and all of that. And so, yeah, as soon as I turned my phone over, I think I fired off a tweet that, of course, was in all caps and said something to that regard. Like it was great. And then, it has been really interesting to see the reaction as days go by, because now I'm seeing kind of lukewarm or even like negative stuff on my timeline, to which I immediately just unfriend those people. What are you talking about?
I'm the same exact way. Literally, I'll unfollow someone on Twitter if I see anything negative about this show.
Listen, this could get me fired right now, but I'll say that, look, my boss likes to talk to me about Star Wars, the guy who owns my company, and he was like, hey, let's talk about Kenobi, and he goes, I hated everything. I hated the directing, the writing, the dialogue. I almost quit on the spot. I almost quit on the spot. I almost quit my job. No, it's like I did one of those things where I was like, well, I didn't know what to say, and I could tell he was disappointed. I was like, I loved it, It's like, oh, we don't connect. Oh shit. Abort.
Quick story. One time I was doing a job interview, and I'm a writer, and so I'm sending my samples, and obviously /film, I have a ton of Star Wars content in there. And so the guy asks me on the interview, hey, what did you think of The Last Jedi? And I immediately just like froze. Like, how do I answer this question? Like, the most divisive Star Wars movie of all time. Like, it's a total minefield either way. Like, and I didn't get that job, so I really don't know where we fell on it. But
it's like asking your great aunt Ida how old she is or something. Like it's
talking about Star Wars with
that's death.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
No.
Oh,
that's and just real quick, let me cover my tracks. My employer is a really good dude. He's really cool and stuff. And so just like, listen, it's okay that he didn't like it, because he's not going to go on the internet and tell Black people or women that they shouldn't be in Star Wars.
That's right.
He owns a potato salad store.
He's just going to keep slinging that salad.
We're tossing salads all over the room.
Tossing salads.
So
okay, well.
I completely agree. When you watch this show, it's kind of interesting to see the consensus. And you're right. It's always like 2 days later when, and this is going to sound kind of harsh, but when like the not at Celebration Star Wars fans watch this show. That makes any sense. Like, I get you can't afford it in some scenarios. I completely respect that. I'm not dissing on if you can or can't go to Celebration. What I'm saying is, if you're not literally, if you're not insane like us, like we are a different breed of people, right? And like, I cried at the line, am I ever going to see you again? That obliterated me. And Katie was like, what the hell? Like, what's wrong with, why did that make you cry? Like, they see each other again, but like, you don't even, like, it's so much explanation. Like, I can't get into it right now.
Because you were thinking of Anakin and Shmi saying, "What does your heart tell you?" Like, I know what you're talking about because
I wasn't, and now thank you for the added trauma. Thank you.
Yeah. But like, it's one of those things you study growing up and you love it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because most people won't have that same effect, right? And if you don't, because you hate the Phantom Menace, or if you don't because you don't know the lore, that's to each their own, right? But what I'm saying is every little thing, like we just said, we just named like 4 different things that are our best, favorite, most fun, because we're listening to several books at the same time as we're watching the show. We're also like speculating on what other things are coming on the pipeline. Like, it's a very different breed of fan. And that being said, yeah.
Well, just to piggyback off that, like I've been writing movie reviews for like 17 years now, and so I totally understand criticism and critiquing these things, but I think too at the same time, I can just not pay attention to a lot of those opinions because clearly it doesn't mean as much to them as it does to me, and so why would I be upset about someone's opinion of something that they're not experiencing it the same way I am, or they're not willing to engage with it the way I am. So that's kind of where I am. And I see those sort of comments all the time, and they only come from these people when new Star Wars is happening. They never talk about Star Wars any other time. It's only when it's happening and it's cool to sort of shit on it. That's when all these comments come in. So,
that's beautifully stated
of the situation. So
it's weird because, part of it, like you said, is just the fact that it is indeed new. And, you know, most people don't talk bad about George's stuff because it seems so sacred. But this is, to me, obviously The Mandalorian has honored the hero's journey aspect of George's stuff and the lore that they built upon. But this show may be the closest in terms of storytelling, in terms of maybe even visuals. I don't know. But we've got so much of these characters that George had developed in the prequels and the original trilogy, just like thrown into this weird scenario of, you know, obviously Obi-Wan and Leia. Like, what a surprise, right? And then you get everything all the way to the end of this show where it's Vader versus Obi-Wan again. And, you know, they kept marketing this with the rematch of the century. And like, I was thinking, how good can it be? And watching it the first time, I was like, man, that was pretty good. But now watching it, I watched the fourth time, you know, today. Fourth time in literally less than 36 hours, I watched it. And like, the rematch of the century actually is truly the rematch of the century in every way. But all that being said, I kind of want to go through the sequences of this episode. We can give our thoughts on it. We're 47 minutes in. Adam, I don't want to keep you too long. We want to go right at an hour and a half, but there may be a couple of moments that we need to really talk about because obviously as a Star Wars fans, as super fans, as really passionate people when it comes to this stuff, they really did hit on some huge notes for this. That being said, Gerry, that very first Ben and Leia goodbye moment, was that hard for you? The first one in the very beginning where he was like, I've got to go. And she was like, no, you can't. You promised me. Did that hurt you?
So the first thing that really hurt me was honestly, or not hurt me, but like got me emotional. And the tears started flowing was when he's talking to Roken. He's saying like, you're a good leader, continue the fight and stuff like that. Yeah. And then Haja, talking to Haja and saying like, what is he like? You probably don't trust me or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I forget. Man, I've only seen this twice. I need to like go back through just so I can absorb all of the lines and everything. But like something to the effect of like, no, I do trust you and everything. And he was kind of like joking. Yeah, it's right. Yeah. Yes. Tears. But yes, when he's talking to Leia and giving her Tala's holster and everything, it's tough. It is tough because, and I think Scotty, you think of me because a lot of this stuff, especially, being a dad after, after a divorce and everything. It's in fact, I had a moment just tonight to not get too real. I know we have a lot of fun on Bombadcast, but those of you who are new, we also get real sometimes. Yeah. But I had a moment tonight, where she was saying like, I don't like going back and forth. I want to be with you, Mom, like all that kind of stuff. And like, I want to be back, and you have to like get down on a knee like Kenobi does. And you gotta be as strong as you possibly can. And you can see in Kenobi, like Kenobi is like, he holds it together. But he is twisted on the inside. You can tell, especially by the way, later on, the way that the thought of the twins empowers him. I identify so much with Obi-Wan in this series. I mean, also Bail and different things like that, but mainly like Obi-Wan, the exile, and the having these young kids, this young girl especially, who you would move heaven and earth if you could for. Anyway,
well, the part that broke me was when he says, the future needs you, and he points at everyone. The future needs you, and points, or is the future? Is that what he says? It's something to the effect of that. And
I feel like Adam knows more of the lines than we do. So
well, he's talking about how they're the future, and you're what needs to survive.
That's it. And he points directly at Leia. And I was like, oh my God, because that's the hope, right? That's the hope that carries obviously Rogue One and of course A New Hope. It's just, it was so personal and it felt so real. And Adam, I don't know if you want to add anything to that special moment, but that hit hard for me.
Well, actually, I want to back up a little to more towards the beginning of the episode when they cut to Tatooine and Owen and Luke are going around like the junk shop, and there's that alien who's like, "Your uncle's a patient man," I was like, hey,
It was so Western.
I'm ready for a 6-episode limited series about that guy. Like,
yeah. Mr. Where's his he's like got the cartoon mustache that only moves when he talks, you know, and like and a nose piercing. I love him.
And there was a suggestion that like Luke broke a belt on the land speeder, and that's why they were there. So like Luke is already sort of like hot rodding out there in the desert.
Yes,
which I love.
Yeah,
God,
so cool. I also, cool since you brought up Luke, and we're talking about the twins, we're talking about his moment with Leia. It seems to me, I thought it was an interesting. What do you guys think about the whole? He basically in this episode sets Leia up to lead and to basically be like a hero, and then he tells Owen, Luke just needs to be a kid right now. I thought that was interesting.
That's
I think
cool.
some people. I think people can take that as, oh, he's putting Luke in a backseat, whatever. No. I thought it was amazing that he knows what each of them needs. You can see
Leia's a lot more mature.
And it's beautiful. It's really cool. And I don't know if y'all have any other thoughts on that, but I just thought that was an interesting juxtaposition.
That is interesting.
Leia gets a holster. Leia gets you're the future. Leia gets you are just like your mom and your dad. I can't tell you anything else, but you are just like them, and they're great people. Which I'm gonna cry right now just saying that. But then Luke, he just needs to be a kid right now. And I'm sorry.
So good.
Yeah.
Boundaries and everything. It's just, so good.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of articulate everything at once here, but for me, it was very much and also that great line where he says, the future will take care of itself. And I thought finally, here we go. Like, this is Obi-Wan realizing that he's playing the long game, that, the issue with Anakin, when you really boil it down, Anakin was taken away from his mother too early. He'd formed this attachment, and that completely drove his ultimate downfall. And
that's true
for Luke, to keep him there with his family, you're creating a setting where he will want to leave on his own one day. Right.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what happens is there's nothing left for me here. When he loses Beru and Owen, not the other way around. And so I thought that was great. He just needs to be a boy, because it's that childlike wonder and that sense of, will I ever get off this rock, that ultimately propels him to be the hero that we all love. And that's nothing against Leia. Leia is like a Cassian Andor. She's been in this fight literally since she was 6 years old. This is what she knows. And even if she wasn't Padme and Anakin's daughter, if she was just Bail and Brea's daughter, she would still be doing this because it's part of the family job. Essentially. So I loved that seeing those two contrasts and how they grow up. Leia grows up. She has like attendants that dress her. She very much is a princess. Luke is sleeping on a mat in a hut on an unbearable desert planet. It's, I love to see how they come together.
That's so beautifully said, because I had not thought about it. The reason we knew Anakin's fall was because he was taken away from his parents. That urge to leave was not really there. And the fact that, if Ben or Obi-Wan were to go take Luke at such a young age, maybe the same thing would have happened to him that happened to Anakin. That's so well said. And I'm sure Qui-Gon
let him have that nurturing background and everything. Let him have that so that
because he will leave that.
Right,
you
because
have the desire to leave.
We come out of the prequels with the knowledge that the Jedi were sort of wrong, that the hubris was ultimately their undoing, and that maybe the way they did things wasn't always the right way to do it. And so this idea of Anakin being too old to begin the training, Yoda actually recognized at that moment that, hey, this kid's already like 9 or 10 years old. He's already got attachments. And what we've also seen in this series with Obi-Wan really nailing it and saying, your need to win is your undoing. And what have we always seen Anakin do? Win. He wins the pod race. You know, he from a very young age, he's been an exceptional, gifted winner. And I just think that's so interesting that by making Luke a nobody, he avoids a lot of that arrogance and things that Anakin developed as a result of that.
Right. Definitely. And that's an interesting way to look at it, because I haven't thought about it from that perspective. Simply because, you know, it's one of these stories, right? And I never would have thought we'd get this much more theme out of a TV show, but like this show has been so thematic, and there's been so much subtext that like it's still going to be digested as the years go on. But within the first 2 days, I mean, that's some deep realizations there, Adam. That's a lot of reflecting on that same idea. Whereas, you know, Mandalorian's been great for the Campbellian theme, but for like the, you know, Star Wars theme, this show is hit. And it's funny, like that moment where Vader only wants to go after, you know, Obi-Wan when he gets off the transport ship. Like that is so Vader. And like, if you really know the character, you know, that's how the character would have approached that whole entire scenario. The crazy thing is the path. Everything where the Jedi are hiding and getting away from is going one direction, but Vader having that narrow, you know, point of view. Nope. I need to go take him down. He could have easily been like, you go this way, I'll go this way. But no, Vader was like, you're going to keep following. You're going to go to that planet. I'm going to get off and then, you know, head that way. That was so awesome. Of course, I have to do it real quick. Let me perform it real quick. What was it? Set your courses to on that ship, or whatever the exact line was. It was the, hold on. I gotta do it. I gotta be out of focus.
Turn to that side. Turn to that side.
Yeah. I'm gonna be out of focus, and I'll see if I can make that work. There we go. He went. It was the okay. Like God,
all right. Like, all right.
Grand Inquisitor. I loved that too. I feel like the relationship between the Grand Inquisitor and Vader is very much a mirror of the relationship of Hux and Kylo Ren.
Yes.
In that they both serve, you know, the Emperor Snoke, same person, however you want to look at it. But there's a bit of a competition there. And the Grand Inquisitor is the one who went and told Palpatine immediately, hey, Vader's off his rocker. Like he completely abandoned it.
That's why they're having that talk at the end. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So Inquisitor snitched on him the exact same way that Hux tries to snitch on Kylo and, you know, get the upper hand, gain the Emperor's favor. So I love that as well.
You know, all that Anakin kid really needed was a few stink bombs as a kid, and he would have turned out a lot better.
Oh, here we go. Play it.
Better.
Play it.
You know, might go off, or I don't know, what kind of practical jokes do you play?
Well, with my new chemistry set, thanks to Brie Larson, I do like to make stink bombs.
Adam's face. Adam, your face.
I was going to say, Adam, was that the first time you heard that?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Amazing.
How wild is that clip?
Is it Brie Larson?
That's like a freaking Baru slap to the gourd, like when he does that.
Oh man, and
Brie Larson,
thanks to Brie Larson,
was like 11, and he was like
so
10,
nerdy little kid. I love him.
They were friends. You can look it up.
Wild.
They were friends. I think they were in one movie together. So I don't know why he felt the need to say it, but like that video could totally go viral. I just don't know why it hasn't.
That's
thanks
wild.
To Brie Larson.
Yes,
but I agree.
I want Jake Lloyd to have redemption. Yes.
God. Same here. Skywalker's here. Look, Skywalker's here. Whoa.
Hey, what's up, Skywalker?
That being said, that is a serious thing to have to acknowledge too, right? Because the second Vader left, you know, he went and ratted him out. You know, we go call Palpatine. You know, like it just makes sense because he knows what the objective is. It's to wipe out the Jedi, and he has that direct, you know, he has that direction from Palpatine and Vader to go do that. But I love that headstrong Vader thinking he's gonna win. You know, he's gonna kick ass. Goes ahead and does it. It's so awesome.
Maybe this is a good time for me to just discuss this. But going back to the thematics of not just the episode, but the whole series, the idea of revenge. And, going back an episode or two, Grand Inquisitor saying revenge does wonders for the will to live, like vengeance is what drives Reva. It's what drives Grand Inquisitor, like him getting stabbed by Reva, when he shows up again, he's very snarky towards her, and it's very clear that he's not happy about what Reva told him. And it also fuels Vader. But I think going by, I'll say, the teachings of George Lucas, some of the things that George has said over the years about happiness and joy and those sort of things, pleasure, revenge is ultimately a hollow pursuit. It is a selfish pursuit driven by anger and hate. And so we see Reva hunting down Luke. We see Vader trying to destroy Obi-Wan, and both of these storylines are happening concurrently, and they're both illustrating that neither of these storylines are gonna end well. There's no, even though Reva says she's here for justice, she isn't really. She's blinded by anger and hate and rage, and their pursuit of vengeance is only leading to more suffering. And I think when you get to the end of this episode, Reva and Anakin both are in an intense state of suffering. Anakin maybe more physically than Reva, but I just loved how that was weaved through the series, and really gave it some dramatic heft, because I think a lot of people, when we talk about the duels themselves of the Star Wars franchise, there's the fast, ultra choreographed style of the prequels that people love. And then there's the more methodical samurai style duels of the original trilogy. And I thought this duel did a wonderful job of bridging the styles from prequel trilogy and original trilogy, where we did get some nice choreography. But we also got some very intense moments of emotion happening during the movie. I thought all of that was excellent in conveying those points.
It's weird too, because you watch a show like this, and we've said it before, but how do they do it? Like the whole entire time you're thinking it, like, how are they going to pull this off? Like, how are they going to pull half this shit off? Like, how are they going to wrap Reva's story so well? And I think they did truly in the end. I thought it was beautifully done.
Absolutely
it's like
perfect.
It's like what Vader, could have been. Like, obviously conflicted, tormented, done terrible things, but in the end could have had a life, and Reva hopefully will go on to have a wonderful life, whatever she ends up doing, past this point. And I'm sure we'll get content with that. But this was so predictable for Vader, not in a bad way. Not predictable, we knew he'd lose, but predictable in terms of what he focused on. And when you watch this fight, there's a couple of moments that really stand out for that. And I'll get into that in a second. But Gerry, did you want to add anything else to what Adam was saying about Reva and their motives both being very similar, especially with revenge?
Well, right. And I love that, because she is, I think, supposed to be a mirror of that. But what I loved about Reva's entire arc in this show, and I do hope we get more, because listen, I'm going to give this might be a hot take. It may not be at this point for a lot of us who love this show. Reva is one of the most interesting characters in Star Wars right now.
Yep.
I'm just saying, Reva is absolutely, we don't even know her last name, right? We just know Reva. If that even is her real name. Anyway, I thought it was a very powerful it was a very powerful way to convey stopping the cycle of violence, right?
Yes.
Vader started so Vader is, it's two different paths. You've got this, Vader was also groomed, and he's the product of trauma. He's the product of abuse and things like that. Yet he continued to go on, which is what a lot of people do. But you have Reva, who was literally stabbed as a child by Vader.
Yeah.
Was then lived in the gutter for a little bit, and then I guess became an Inquisitor. And I don't think it's not the best child care. There's worse child care on Exegol, but I won't get into that right now because that's spoilery.
Yes, I can only imagine.
But I'm derailing myself right now. Anyway, but you have Riva having the chance to do it, but realizing what has happened to her and what she's about to do. The way she's been raised and everything, you know, she's like, oh, this is, of course she thinks it's weakness because since was very young, she's lived in the gutter and then became an Inquisitor, which is basically a Sith apprentice, just short of being that.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed weakness, and just Kenobi saying like, no. You honored your friend. Like that part made me like, I was bawling at that part. Like you honored you honored them
by showing mercy. You have given them peace. You have
honored them. Yes.
I absolutely love it. And I love that, you know, Reva asks Obi-Wan too, like realizing in the moment of what she's just tried to do with Luke, you know, have I become him? Like, am I as bad as Vader? And Obi-Wan's like, no, you've chosen not to, you know, and like who you become now, that's totally up to you. And I just love that idea. And just the recurring nature of just redemption in Star Wars is absolutely like no holds barred. Anyone, Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, Reva, anyone but Palpatine is capable of redemption.
Palpatine, he's Mr. All In. He's Mr. You know, he doubles down.
I wanted to say this, you know, and I said it on streaming Star Wars last week. I may have said it on Bombadcast, but the idea simply that we've had this moment, you know, since Revenge of the Sith, which has now been memed, which was whenever Anakin does the lightsaber down and the little kid steps back. I know they've made jokes of it, they made memes of it, but we live in a time now where that's very much a reality, where someone could come into your school, my place of work, I work in a middle school, and do some insane stuff like that. But to finally get what that trauma looks like, you know, even if it had been played as a joke, you know, on Star Wars memes pages and stuff like that, it took what we, you know, thought was an intense moment, and it gave us so much more of a deeper emphasis on, no, one of these kids actually survived, like lived and became another terrible person, because trauma, you know, usually builds to more trauma. And it's kind of cool to see that cycle get broken, like was stated, right? That is a beautiful thing to actually get a chance to see for once in Star Wars, you know? The redemption is very much there, and it's cool that he has the moment with her, you know, very personal, you know, someone he had been at odds with, but how Obi-Wan is it to be the bigger person, just like he does for Maul, just like he does, you know, for obviously for Reva as well. But he has that moment of like, no, regardless of what you did, there's still a redeemable aspect of this. You know, there is still something that can be saved in this person, unlike Anakin. But there is that moment in the fight, which we're going to go over the fight pretty much. I want to go through segment by segment because there was some freaking wild.
Buckle up, Adam. Buckle up, Adam.
Yeah,
we're going.
I know, but
I'm just going straight from here to the potato salad store. That's what I'm doing tonight.
So I want to get into that now. This was a marketed, and I know Gerry and I had a bit on last week, but it was a marketed as the rematch of the century. And
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a lot. That's a lot to live up to, because the Mustafar battle is, to some people, the greatest lightsaber battle in all Star Wars, and I won't disagree with them. That is definitely one of the best ones. But you watch it; it's taking place literally in hell, and like it's concurrent with Palpatine versus Yoda. Like, you're like, how can this rematch get any better? And I'm not saying they topped it yet. It's only been 2 days. It's still really, really fresh. But when you watch that thing, even though, and that's the best part of this, we all know the outcome. We all know where it goes. But were all of you like me on the edge of your seat, just like, whoo, like, how can they pull this off? Because, you know, and I said it earlier too, I like that it was an unnamed planet. I like that we don't know where they go. I like, and Joseph Scrimshaw said it on Force Center, very pulpy looking, looks like the cover of a 1950s sci-fi book. It's like a big moon in the background, giant, like weird canyon arch structures they're fighting in. I mean, the layout of it was there too. You know, you see him land further in the rocks, and Vader lands on the outskirts, and y'all, that shot when he walks off the Lambda shuttle and he walks out and you see him silhouetted way in the back, Obi-Wan. What was your first thoughts? Did it like, is that when it hit? Because that's when this show kind of like, obviously it hit on a bunch of different levels throughout the season, but this is when it was like, you have been waiting for this. What did y'all think of it?
First, Scotty, I want to just like congratulate you on your brilliant theory about how each episode mirrors an episode from the Skywalker saga, because you were dead on about that.
Dead on.
And I totally think that's deliberate. This episode, and really the series in general, to me also has been threading the needle of between Rogue One and The Last Jedi. There's a lot of imagery and a lot of thematics that exist in both those movies that I feel like Kenobi is running like a trench run down the middle of them. And this fight definitely felt that way. It felt like that very wide shot of the landscape with the two small figures standing next to each other was very much Kylo and Luke on Crait. And also the planet itself reminded me, and I, you know, like you said, it's an unknown planet. We have no idea what it is, but it visually, it reminded me of Edu from Rogue One. This sort of like cavernous planet. And so I had those thoughts going on. And then you even have, you know, the confrontation when it begins. Vader says, "Have you come to destroy me, Obi-Wan?" And it's very much did you come to say you forgive me? Did you come to save my soul in The Last Jedi? And Luke says no. And Obi-Wan says, "I will do what I must." You know, they are tired of messing around. We are not.
How amazing anymore. Was that?
Oh, it was
how
so
amazing good. Was that? The return of that line. Go, I will do what I must.
With the finger point, it was wonderful.
I will see. At first, I was a little taken out of it, but I was like, that's almost exactly what they say to each other, Revenge of the Sith. But on second watch, like I was like, no, because it would be like almost that would be like kind of what they would do. Like these are like Anakin is like very dramatic and things like that, you know, like, of course they would have that back and forth again, you know, like, hey, remember when we did this?
It's got to feel like deja vu. It's got to feel like deja vu.
It's all they've been thinking about the same for a decade.
Over and over.
Yes.
Literally all they've been thinking about for a decade. And so when they come back to this situation, of course, it's going to mirror what came before because, and there's a lot of talk about the past in this episode too. And a lot of like letting go of the past, and the past is standing in the way of Vader, you know, like that's what Palpatine says in the hologram or whatever. So like for 10 years, neither of these guys has been able to move forward because they are just so consumed with the aftermath of what happened in Revenge of the Sith that, yeah, absolutely. They're gonna say similar things when they meet up again because it very much is the continuation of a confrontation that happened a decade ago.
God. Absolutely. And you know what's crazy too? It was like the next line, you know, you will try, of course, is what's said in Revenge of the Sith. But in this one is you will die. I was like, no way. So like literally you take it's like poetry, it rhymes.
It literally is like poetry.
Literally. Yeah. And you're watching it and like, you know, there's the moment where they first go and strike at each other. I'm like, how are they going to do this? Because the first thing I'm thinking like Nick Gillard, right? You know, obviously in the prequels had designed some of the most beautiful, it looks orchestrated kind of fights. The original trilogy, very heavy-handed, like you're wielding Excalibur. This, to me, and I know we said it earlier, was the perfect blend of both, where there was some flashes, but also there was a part where Vader, like, reaches behind himself and fights him, and, like, Obi-Wan goes behind him, and they're fighting back-to-back. I'm like, this is unique. This is different. He's cool. Catering to, not catering, but he's, like, going against the robotic stiffness of Vader the whole entire time. It works so well. And you know,
felt like a great bridge between Anakin and Vader. Like this felt like Anakin and Vader in the same. It felt it feels more married. Not that it didn't before, but like it feels so married now. Like this was that was Anakin in the suit. Like you could just tell in the best way.
I absolutely want to touch on that because like Obi-Wan is smashing, just battering Vader's chest panel, like his breathing apparatus or whatever.
Yes.
And then he slashes him in the back, and then he slashes his helmet open, and we get the amazing, rebel style shot of Anakin.
Great sound design, by the way.
That was my favorite part because Anakin's voice cuts in and out between Hayden's and James Earl Jones, and it's literally the duality of man and machine. Like we see for the first time ever the conflict, if you will, the two people that are inside that helmet, essentially. Yes. And I just thought it was amazing.
Honestly, I think best sound design since the seismic charge. Just saying.
I agree. I want to get into that, but I want to say one thing before we get.
Adam, did you finish your point? I'm sorry, real quick.
I think I did. I just okay. I just going into that, the conversation they have, the dialogue again was just tremendous. Anakin is gone. I am what remains.
Jesus. So the one thing I want to backtrack on this for a second was the part where Vader gets the high ground, right? Where he does inevitably get, and it's unspoken, but it's funny. Like you can totally see.
I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah,
you did instantly. Katie looks at me and goes, the high ground. I'm like, he got it. And he pummels
I've got it now, bitch.
And he has this Spider-Man moment where, he's trapped in a Nerk and he's like, come on, I can do it. And he literally thinks of Leia and Luke, and how freaking cool was that? The little flashes, that sweet face she does when she leans, holding his hand, like getting comfortable, like, I know I can trust you. Like, oh my God, I know that hurt you. I bet it did. Destroyed you.
Tears.
But I want to get to the one of the more one of the more epic things that we haven't seen in Star Wars for a long time. And I know it's something to be said. Like a lot of Star Wars, people tend to weigh it like, oh, what's his force power like? How strong is he in the force? Like what's his midichlorian count? Like I get it. There's a way to measure these things. And I don't think a lot of Star Wars abilities should be based on that. But when he lifted up the rocks and he started throwing it, that was like fanboy, like anyone from a little kid to a grown old man. You can't tell me that wasn't cool as shit. Just like, and then just, and like no mercy rock pummeling. That shit was incredible.
But it didn't seem angry is the thing. So
no, it wasn't.
So it seemed just like, all right, look, I got to end this. I've got to stop this is what it felt like. But you know what I immediately thought of? Its position, and we'll have to find the art. Maybe I'll share it again. I had a viral tweet where people got angry that I was making fun of someone's art. Have you seen this where it was like Obi-Wan on the Death Star raising all the blasters and everything? It mirrored that almost perfectly.
It did, but
that is where my brain went. That is where my brain went.
God.
And that's, but I'll tell you, I was like, this is not Obi-Wan for the blasters. I was like, this is how you do it. This is how you show insane, badass force stuff. But again, it's like, it's not, I'm going to effing murder this guy. It's, this has to stop. This has to stop. You told me you killed my friend. I don't think he's trying to kill him. I think he's just like, this has to end sometime is what it felt like.
Obi-Wan, I think, wasn't trying to so much kill Vader. And I think that was the approach the whole time. And I think maybe Qui-Gon was guiding him through that, because what Obi-Wan was really trying to do, I believe, just how I interpret it, was to just have that conversation with him, to be able to like literally pick his brain. And it was the stay down. I'm like, come on, you don't want to keep,
please stay down.
Please stay down. And, right after is when he does do the whole, slice and dice of the mask and his back. And like, it was so...
He ends it.
Yes. The bashing of the... Dude, that was so... And I'm going to curse. That was so fucking cool. That was like so...
How many times did he do it? He just kept going.
And we've never seen that where they're fighting.
It was almost like...
Bash.
Like, I'm gonna take out what's keeping you alive, like, but again, not out of anger, but just like, I've gotta put you out, man.
And also, like,
I'm gonna put you down.
Also,
rabid dog.
if you look at it in the terms of like what Obi-Wan was talking about, like in terms of mercy, like it's okay, it's not exactly merciful, but he isn't trying to land a killing blow. He's doing defensive, limiting Vader's ability to breathe and move around is very much like a defensive sort of attack. Like he's just trying to keep Vader at bay. And I loved the again, the dialogue there, Vader saying, I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did,
God,
the same way I will destroy you. And that was that. I loved it for what it meant in the moment, but I also loved it because it was such a callback to what Obi-Wan originally tells Luke about what happened to his father, by saying that a pupil
he betrayed and murdered your father.
Yeah, exactly. Like he is absolutely right from a certain point of view.
That hurts way
more. So
back
well
then
done.
we're like,
why
did he lied? Why would he lie to him and stuff? It's like, technically he really ain't lying.
And
at this point,
and
it feels
also
like now less so than ever.
The beautiful thing of, Obi-Wan is apologizing and saying, I'm sorry. And, but then he says the line, then my friend is truly dead, which again, another echo of Luke saying, then my father is truly dead. And so, and he leaves by saying, by goodbye, Darth, which I also thought was a great thing because, again, only a master of evil, Darth. Like the fact that Obi-Wan called him Darth in A New Hope was sort of I don't know if it was an insult per se, but it was refusing to acknowledge. It was refusing to acknowledge him as Anakin or as Vader in an interesting way.
Right. It's like, okay, fine. You want to choose this path? All right, Darth.
Right.
Okay.
That's all you are, is a Darth.
Yeah, less like maybe an insult and stuff, but like more just like a punctuation on, all right, if that's what you're going to choose, then goodbye.
Yeah,
I'm going to call you that. And that was a cool thing for me personally, because I always thought that was kind of a silly moment in A New Hope. And I mean that because we know what it meant in the 70s, and I can respect what it meant in the 70s. To kind of get it now, though, in a different light with a different type of expectation, knowing what we know now. And it's a diss. It's like a to make him feel small, because I mean, obviously it's what he kind of needs in that moment.
Yeah.
He still needs to learn, like Hollow Chronicles said, he still needs to learn that he is the apprentice. He still hasn't risen above Obi-Wan. And I think it's even better now that we got 3 fights. It's more poetic in the sense of, Obi-Wan wins the first one, Obi-Wan wins the second one, and Obi-Wan wins the third one, even though it doesn't seem like it, but he does, because he's still the learner. He's still the learner.
Yes.
When he slices that robe in half in A New Hope and he falls, and Vader's like, what the shit? Like, that's not how that went, and that's so weird that I never rematch of the century. I keep going back to it, but that's a whole lot of pressure on Deborah Chow and everyone else involved to make sure that's fulfilled.
Our Lord and Savior.
And I'm not joking when I said it was fulfilled in every way. I'm trying to actually get a picture pulled up of the half mask thing. And once I do, I gotta ask Adam, because Adam's a big horror film guy. When you saw this, and I know we got it in Rebels, and one thing I do want to say is put it into perspective, right? Some people haven't seen this kind of image in Star Wars before, and I'm going to pull it up big so we can see it. But to get this film, it's very dark. I got my light on my eyes, but like to finally get this in live action, and to say the least, Hayden Christensen did one of the greatest acting, I think, in all of Star Wars with this. You know how hard it is to act behind a mask, number one, but to then act behind a half mask and convey emotion.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
With one eye.
Makeup. Yeah.
But a corner of the mouth as well, because we did see him smirk when he says, I did. The way he says that's one of the best line deliveries I've heard in a Star Wars.
Yeah, it was truly sinister in that moment.
Chilling and it felt like he was possessed almost.
Yes.
Or like, it felt like it was the Freddy Krueger. It was the Michael Myers. It was Michael Myers if he could talk or something, I mean, Jason, it's like, I am like this. I know myself like this.
Yeah. And like you said, I am a horror fan, a science fiction fan, and just a movie fan in general. And so when I see an image like that, It makes me think of a lot of things, and even inside the realm of Star Wars, obviously we thought about the Rebels scene, but I thought about Phasma and that sort of sequence in The Last Jedi. And then
yeah.
I thought about just in general, like the Terminator films, like when we also get that half man, half machine look where you get half of the face is human, half is like a mechanical eye sort of thing. And RoboCop, there's a great scene where you can kind of see his eye moving behind the visor and stuff. So I love that imagery. And like you said, it's not really something that I think people would think of when they think of Star Wars. And yet,
I agree.
Like it is something that's suggested in the original trilogy, but never shown full out. Like we see the back of Vader's head. And then by the time we see Vader unmasked, he's an old man. And it's
right.
At that point, it's kind of sad. It's not scary the way it was here.
God, and it was so well done. Look, it's the thing, right? You can watch a show like this and like they can achieve it, right? But I mean, never would I ever thought that we get an image as like visceral as this.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
That's
like this, and you know what's funny?
Punctuated by the voice. I'm sorry. The dual voices really.
I want to talk about that.
Go
Holy
ahead.
shit. The part that literally, and I freaked out because like, when you're witnessing something that's, I would consider groundbreaking.
The same moment that I'm thinking of.
Go ahead. Yes. Like I'm living in this moment right now. It was that overhead shot where he's just like slowly creeping up. And it's like broken between, and it's like, and it like, it's weird.
That's not the moment
mixing of it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I listened to it 4 times. What they do is so brilliant. They go from obviously Vader, but they not only do the Vader, broken voice, they also do like the room noise, what would have been like the actual echoing through the chambers with his real voice and the Vader voice. It's like the strangest audio design I've heard since, like you said, the Seismic Charge. Like that was like
brilliant.
So brilliant. It's to me, I think it's equivalent to like the Kylo Ren cackle, like the crackle sound of the lights. Like it was so unique to that moment and so unique to that trilogy. Like that was that broken voice is so wild. And what I was going to say is, that I would love, like, I want all 3 Vader masks. I want Vader, cleaned up and clean look with the red lenses. I want Vader now with the half, like I want to own that mask, but I also want the melted Vader mask. Like, to know that he has multiple masks is kind of cool too. That kind of confirmed a few things or they repaired that mask. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think Vader had to
happen a lot? No.
Do you think Vader had a weird monkey man like Kylo put his helmet back together?
Holy cow!
Maybe there's a weird monkey man that just lives in the basement of Vader's castle and just repairs things.
Maybe it's the same one.
God,
maybe it's the same guy.
Look at this.
The part the part that and again, like, and I noticed that as well, but like, Troy was saying earlier, like the way it's blue, and then when he finally is like, no, I destroyed him, I killed him, the red starts to shine on his face. But the moment I was thinking of Scotty, which that was also like that, all of that, every bit of Anakin Vader going back and forth, sound, that whole sequence is the best sound design I've ever. It's my favorite sound design now in all of Star Wars.
Good.
And again, that could change again, but Seismic Charge is still great. But it's the part that I really was like, wow, was when he's at the beginning, he's like, I'm not your failure, and in Anakin's voice, and then Obi-Wan. Like, you notice that? Like, it's so seamless.
Yeah.
You don't even notice. It's like your brain is trying to, like, this is it's one person talking.
Yep.
Just like just the seamlessness of all of that. But like, that's the most prominent one, I feel like, where he's like, I'm not your failure, Obi-Wan. It's so, I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. My mind was just blown. My mind is blown.
Yeah.
It was, my jaw was on the floor in that moment. I wasn't crying at that moment. My jaw was on the floor witnessing this.
Yeah.
We were witnessing history, frankly.
I agree.
And again, Rebels did it. Rebels did it too, going back and forth between Matt Lanter and James Earl Jones. But to have Anakin, have Hayden Christensen have that moment
visually
is so well. And again,
man.
not that like animation's lesser or anything. It's special that Hayden gets this.
I agree.
Well.
Because this is what
It's
almost
very
seemed like he was guaranteed for the longest time.
Yes.
It was also nice to see, the progression of the makeup and sort of like, because we saw Anakin freshly burned, right, in Revenge of the Sith. And then we see him bits and pieces in Rogue One, and then we see him in Return of the Jedi. But it was nice here to get a glimpse at what he looks like now, 10 years down the line, Bacta and things like that. Like he was really starting to look more like the way they had sculpted the makeup around his cheekbones and stuff. He really did look more like Vader in the original trilogy. Not to say, I don't know if they modeled his makeup specifically after like Sebastian Shaw's look in Return of the Jedi, but just going to what you were saying about it feeling seamless, it really did to me feel like the same Vader we see later.
I agree. Look, I'll pull up.
They're all for those. Sorry, Scotty. I was gonna say they're all for those details. Like they're all about those details at Lucasfilm. These people have a drawer with multiple different bottles of sand to make sure that the sand that they're shooting for certain planets it matches the original sands from different planets that they've been to, right? And so the details look at that. It's the perfect bridge. And it just like he almost looks like Skeletor.
And of course,
like
I have to bring it up real quick. They did do the lighting really well where it was on blue. He was being Anakin. Yeah. And it's very evident. You didn't fail, Master. That was almost super endearing if you think about it.
It was.
Like didn't. Yeah, that was like him kind of giving him that moment of like, look, don't beat yourself up. That you can let go of this now.
And honestly, maybe that was the permission that Obi-Wan needed to finally let go of this, that it wasn't his fault, that Anakin made these choices and that whether he was manipulated by Palpatine or not, it wasn't Obi-Wan's fault. And so, I think that absolutely gave Obi-Wan a chance to say, okay, well, you've made your choice and my friend is dead and, I'm going to leave now.
Yep. The I'm sorry that Ewan delivers is, and I think Alden Diaz said earlier, it is literally Emmy worthy. And like it's like so good.
It's Oscar worthy. It's all the awards worthy.
It hits so hard. And it should, that's a heavy moment for those characters. And it's weird, when he walks off, he says goodbye, Darth, or what does he say?
Goodbye, Darth. Yeah.
Yep. And that answers another question that we've been wondering for years. Why is he calling him Darth? Now we know it's kind of an insult. But that being said, he senses that Luke is in distress. We kind of already covered how we felt about those scenes and that we liked them. But it was powerful to see Reva seeing herself through Luke. That was a cool moment. Yeah. And we didn't even talk about Owen and Beru being gangsta.
I was just thinking that.
Cool. Amazing. I tweeted it before we got started. I want to say it out loud, but I never realized how much Beru was on Ben's side. I literally blew my mind because there's a line.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah. Yep. Literally, it says,
I know where you're going.
Ben is gone. Owen says that, and literally, Beru says, "And whose fault is that?" I was like, damn.
She really burns him Owen's like he fault. Burned Obi-Wan at the beginning. Like he roasted really Obi-Wan with like his father. They're the roast masters. Besides Boop
but it's funny because that's pretty good. It's funny because
is a great roaster. But
and then they got roasted.
That's yes, then they got roasted. But it's funny because
I saw a tweet today that said, like, how much of a fight did they put up before that happened?
That's true, though. I was going to get into that.
Hell yeah.
Like the hidden,
go on, please go.
The hidden area with the guns. I never considered that. We know Beru in canon's like she frees slaves. She's like, Beru White Sun. Like the White Suns was a group. Like we know
White
that. But the reason I'm saying it is Beru never had a problem, and that's evident too. Whenever Luke's like, "Come on, you can't keep him here," whenever Beru's talking about Luke as an adult, essentially. Yeah, he's just on a farm. He's like, it's so cool to see that Beru has always been the rational one. She hasn't been the one that was like trying to hold, Ben back.
She's not like Owen has more fear, and she's more. Yes. I want this kid to have a normal life. I don't want him to fear everything. We can't protect him forever. So we need to let him be himself.
You get the impression that if Anakin had been raised under normal circumstances with Shmi as his mother, through his 20s and later, that it might have been similar to Beru, that just very nurturing and very caring for Luke, especially when it's not really her kid, but to her,
there you go.
He is. And I love to, like, when they come back and Owen's like, someone's coming or whatever, and she's like, we're enough. Well, we can handle this, and she like pulls the guns out of the hidden compartment, and it was like
a cool line.
It's like a Sarah Connor Terminator moment. Like, someone's coming for John. Let's buckle down and take care of it. And she slapped the hell out of Reva when she walked in.
Might be honestly my favorite moment of the episode, probably. Just like that she cold cocks her like out of nowhere.
Yep. Owen
it's like a downward slap too, right? It's like a get down.
Yep. Owen kicked over like a flower pot. Like, he meant business. Like, things were getting crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
all or
good.
Nothing with those two. And I didn't expect that, really.
I just loved in general that we got to see Owen and Beru and Brea and Bale and how much they loved those kids. Like,
that is so true.
Yes. And how that love and that compassion and that care is really what ultimately bring Luke and Leia to the moment in A New Hope where they are ready to, essentially follow their destiny.
Yes.
I loved all the stuff with Brea. I would love to see more of her. I don't know where or how we would see it, but Marissa, my
young
partner.
Leia series, perhaps. I don't know. I just give it all to me at this point, honestly.
Marissa, my partner, was saying she wanted to see like a B Squad series where it's like Beru and Brea teaming up to like fight pirates or something. I was like, yes, when
Mom Squad. Oh, give me the Mom Squad, please.
Mom Squad, yes.
That's badass.
I retweeted this thing earlier. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna jump to another part. So,
well, just real quick, as a button on I can't tell you how much this episode made me love Owen and Beru. Like, again, I said it earlier. I didn't hate them, but like, this is just like I love them with my whole being now. But like, I shared this. It's Tommy Stella at Tommy_Stella. Said, it means the world to me now that the new answer to who would win a fight, Darth Vader and Beru, is now. How much prep time does Beru have?
It's so true.
So good.
Setting up like booby traps and stuff. Like, don't mess with her.
It's John Wick. It's John Wick, but Aunt Beru. Like, yeah. I gotta get the Blast Points Beru crew shirt like immediately.
Yeah.
Like, you know what's cool too? Yeah. I wanted to say the fact that we kind of do get a canonical reference in terms of Luke never saw her lightsaber, which is nice, because when he does look at, his fault, Anakin's eventually, he doesn't know what it is, and like, he doesn't see the lightsaber at all. And she doesn't even have it lit, I don't think, when he's awake, when he's conscious the whole entire time. It just shows that they really cared when it came to the writing of this. And most Star Wars shows do. Most, like Pablo being a lore advisor is part of it, right? But like, to be able to see that care go into it, because that could have made for a cool visual, walking through the canyons with the lightsaber on, looking for a child. Like, that would have been crazy to see, but they didn't, for the sake of what we got. And the only time that lightsaber is ignited is whenever he's unconscious, and he won't remember it. Then he carries her back. He gets carried back by her. It's just it's so beautiful. It really is such a beautiful turn of the character and all that.
And also just the framing of it as like, it's a Tusken attack, right?
Yes.
He never sees the attackers and stuff, but he gets knocked out. And you know what else? He gets knocked out by Tusken Raiders in Star Wars.
And it's cool.
So like, this is like he has no problem believing that. And then when we see him later in Star Wars, he's like, well, we can't go out with the sand people, because he remembers being a kid and almost being abducted by sand people, right?
That's awesome. Oh, that's badass. Haven't made that parallel yet. Jeez.
Star Wars is going to be totally different. Like, when we completely. After we do a whole rewatch of Kenobi and then go to watch A New Hope, it will be a completely different experience. Just
How
like
cool is that though?
After Rogue One, like it's amazing that we have this. Let me see here. We have the sequel trilogy to the prequel trilogy in Kenobi, Solo, and Rogue One.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
all three of those movies perfectly inform what came before and what comes after. Like, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
So well done. What a weird way to look at it. And it's true though. It's actually not weird. It's the canonical way of looking at these things. And it's what they set out in 2012, almost 10 years ago, when they made the purchase in October of 2012. They cleaned the slate, and I don't blame them for that reason alone.
Yeah.
Now we get something truly cohesive, and it also allowed us to have a return of not the one at the very end, but the one that I think some of us were expecting, maybe didn't expect, and that is our boy. Oh my God! Look at how beautiful!
Look
As
at
if a million voices cried out in terror and were suddenly silent.
God, and the
up.
makeup looked amazing because it's funny. He looks like he's almost gotten
old school.
He not saying he's gotten to the age of where he looks like that, but it seems like the makeup wouldn't have been as intense as it normally has been.
It looks less intense for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like what he would have looked like in 1977. Like
exactly.
It's so cool.
You know what's funny too? A lot of it comes down to the fact that that probably was shot remotely, and I'm not kidding. I'm not saying it was shot on a DSLR, but that thing was definitely shot, on a green screen. There was barely an exchange of dialogue in this scene. It was mostly just 2-3 lines exchanged, but Ian McDiarmid, delivers on such a huge level, hand position and everything.
Yes. I wrote that down just because I loved it so much, where he says, "I wonder if your thoughts are clear on this, Lord Vader. Perhaps your feelings for your old master have left you weakened." And then that's the part where he says, "If your past cannot be overcome," and he just sort of lets that hang there, which is very much like I said earlier, something that the series has been preoccupied with, this idea of the past and letting it go and moving forward. So I just thought that was tremendous.
God, so well done.
And also another nice bookend that we get Palpatine showing up as a hologram here. And then we get Darth Maul showing up as a hologram at the end of Solo. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, Adam with the good parallels here. And you know what's funny? I freaked out because it was the exact same brooch from the Phantom Menace. Little did I know it's the same brooch from Return of the Jedi as well.
Yeah.
The same
Return of the Jedi,
amulet or whatever you would call it. But it is that kind of insane moment where, it's not hard to believe what you're seeing on screen for this one. You're like, holy shit, they did it. I knew we would get it in some way. I didn't think it'd be, so immediate. I didn't think it would be so what's the word I'm looking for? Unceremonious. All you see is him sitting at the throne, and then seeing Vader from behind, from the forward, and you see the hologram. You're like, uh-oh, who could that be? And it's just so well done. When
Quizzy's in the background, hello.
Yep. God, so well done. Goodbye. And you're right, he totally got tattled on. There's no way around it. He 100%. Totally got tattled on for this.
Well, let's be honest. Palpatine knew, because he knows. He seems I don't want to say he's all knowing. The man is in the know for a lot of things. I think a one Padme Amidala definitely kept him on his toes. But
and
anyway.
Leia,
and what's interesting to me is before this, we weren't really sure what the Empire at large thought about what happened to Obi-Wan. If you go back to Star Wars, Tarkin says, well, surely he must be dead by now. And so that leaves a lot of open room for them to be like, well, what happened to Kenobi? And what was interesting here with Palpatine acknowledging Anakin's former master is there's almost a sense of worry. If Anakin can't let go of this, if he continues pursuing Obi-Wan is going to maybe have a chance to turn him. And so, Palpatine is no, if you can't overcome your past, you can't be my apprentice is really what it sort of felt like. So
yes,
that was interesting to me. And also interesting when you consider in Star Wars, Vader, a presence I haven't felt since You know, like it's like this reignition of something that he's buried for 10 more years. Because, you know, Palpatine is not done. You know, and he says here, Kenobi means nothing. I only serve you, my master. You know, which is like we're seeing the seeds planted of Vader knowing what he has to tell Palpatine.
Right.
Yes.
But secretly beginning to resent him and wanting to overthrow him at the same time. And so he's like, don't worry about Obi-Wan, because he knows that together Obi-Wan and Anakin could overthrow him, you know? So it's an interesting thing that's happening there.
So cool. I didn't think about it that way. And, you know, part of it too comes down to the fact that we for the longest time had this structure of how the story was going to go. And now we kind of have to rewrite how we feel about it, you know, and for the better, truly. There was nothing I could say that was wrong with how they did it. And like, you really are correct on the whole, like, it was just Palpatine still manipulating, you know, in every way, just like getting into his head. You're weak. You're weak. You're weak. Don't be weak. You don't want to be weak. You know, that's how people take over. But man, Gerry, anything you want to bring up about it's not exactly prom night Palpatine, like Rise of Skywalker Palpatine.
No. Yeah, that's a ways off. That's a ways off.
There was some swagger there. What did you think?
There was some swagger. Listen, he hadn't like sucked out the souls of his grandchild and her boyfriend yet, and so that's how you get prom night Palpatine. That's the only way to get such rich fine duds is to suck out the soul of two young Force users with black magic. That's the only way to do it. Anyway.
Oh, man.
And a big assist from that claw machine arm that was attached to him.
What was it called, Gerry? Or Madam, you might know it.
The Omen harness. The Omen harness or something.
The Omen harness. How badass is that?
That sounds badass and mildly sexual.
That's Palpatine, baby.
That's Palpatine, man. That's black magic. All right.
Sheev in the sheet.
But just like it was almost like, okay, this needs to happen. You know, and I know a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want Palpatine to show up. People who, you know, there's people who like didn't like that he was like the big thing, you know, in Rise of Skywalker, whatever. I'm not poo-pooing anything. We all come from different angles, but to me, it didn't feel like forced. It felt like, okay, this is the formula. This is what would happen. This is Star Wars and stuff. And so, it felt right. So
it did.
That's all I'll say.
It really did. So it's funny, this episode, we'll get through it. I know it's been running pretty long for us here. And this is the episode I think it was going to do. Like, this episode had a lot weighing on it, and these last 3 moments are things that I kind of wanted to focus on. And I'll kind of give them the bullet point answers real quick. But we had Obi-Wan and Leia's real goodbye. Then we had, you know, the Owen and Obi-Wan moment, which is incredible. And then we've got the very last one, which we'll get to in a little bit. But that Obi-Wan Leia moment. And of course, this whole show had been emotional for me. And, you know, I don't have kids, but I have students. And what we saw with this show was the Padawan, master relationship there. But we also had a little bit of that past emphasis with the fact that Obi-Wan both knew Padme and Anakin. And that shit messed me up in the best way possible. I mean, y'all, like, it was so beautifully done. You know, she was so surprised and excited to see him. But the cool thing is, whenever Lola comes out, just like a little kid would, you know, that's what she loves the most. That little droid. Lola runs past Obi-Wan to get it, and he hugs, Bail.
You know what?
He shakes Breia's hand.
So that's one of the most heartwarming scenes, and I love that they put that in there. It almost like the end of this almost felt like the appendices at the end of Return of the King a little bit.
Yes, I was going to say
it ends, and then it's like we're going to tie up all this. We're going to tie up all the strings, but it didn't feel disjointed or anything. It felt very much. Also, I just noticed like a little bit of like one of my rewatches that I don't know if I'm projecting this, but Leia, she puts on the boots, the gloves, and, you know, the holster and everything. And I don't know necessarily about the gloves. The gloves, I think, are the ones that she got, Obi-Wan got her, I believe, right?
I think so, yes.
But it almost feels like she's dressing up like him.
Oh, you're right.
The boots and
the pants look.
And the just the everything, like she wants to have like a Jedi tunic. She's like, I want to be like Obi-Wan. I mean, and Tala and stuff like that, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just, it feels like that kid, like I'm trying to, like, I always tried to get, like, my dad had a brown leather jacket. I had like a dark brown cowboy hat. I would put that on and I was Indiana Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it felt like that to me.
I loved the whole little side plot with Lola as well, because Leia tucks Lola into Obi-Wan's robes when they hug, because he's talking about, well, I wish, maybe Lola could make me forget about things, and so Leia gives it to him so he won't be scared, but also
so sweet.
Gives it to him because she knows, like, it's an excuse, like he has to return it now.
Yeah.
So come back, she knows, like,
back.
she will get to see him again because of this. So
it's a little bit of an insurance there. That's nice.
I loved, the whole speech that Obi-Wan gives Leia. It reminded me of the speech that the dialogue that he says to Anakin right before they split up in Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, you are wise and you are a far better Jedi than I'll ever be. It was that same kind of cadence, the way he was telling Leia, like, you are wise and discerning and kind-hearted and stuff. Like, I loved it. And I also was curious what your thoughts were, because so he says all that and he says, I wish I could tell you more. And Leia's like very quick to cut him off, and she's looking at Leia and Bail and says, it's okay, you don't have to. And that made me wonder, is it okay you don't have to because maybe they've already started telling me some things? Like, am I gonna, like, I have to feel like Brea and Bail are gonna, teach her a little something about Padme, because as we see in the comics and stuff, Leia goes to
Padme for sure. Yeah.
Leia goes to Naboo and learns who her mother was and stuff. So it felt like a little nod.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But also it also felt like Leia didn't want to know more, because she already has really good parents.
I've got these parents here. These are my parents.
Well, the thing is,
absolutely.
She kind of goes against their instructions. It's what caused her to run away in the first episode, whenever she is kind of an asshole to her cousin, which is deservedly so. But it was her kind of like, I'm gonna sneak out again to go against them. But I think she looks at them with that endearing, like, they are right, they are good people, and I don't, that my biological parents aren't here, and it's kind of cool to see your struggle with the Organa last name, and that the part that set me off is when he formally addresses her and looks her in the eye.
That's what I was gonna say.
Leia Organa, you are wise, and I'm like, I can't say it again. I just fuck once.
See, hearing Ewan McGregor say Princess Leia Organa.
Good stuff.
It's a high. That's a high, man. But I just the part just went by, like the exact wording when he tells her, you're just like your parents. He says both were exceptional people who bore an exceptional daughter.
God, that's when it hit. That's when it hit. And the other good part about it is, when will I ever see you again? And I know I mentioned it earlier, but it was like you said, it's the Shmi parallel, right? And I just couldn't believe what I was watching in that moment. And I mean that. Like, that was like what this whole series built up to. And I'm sure, obviously when we watched that first episode, we didn't expect Leia to be involved at all, for the most part. But to get like the full series around them two, it just perfect subversion. The theme is swelling in. The Force theme is also swelling in at one point. Like, it's like just perfect delivery and so well crafted. And it honestly leads us into our next not goodbye, which is kind of cool. You see a goodbye between them. And the one thing I do like is he mentions we must keep this private.
Yes.
We must keep this a secret. And like, it makes the formal message, the message of, I guess, wartime message of help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, so much heavier. Because they can't act like they know each other in case it gets into Imperial hands. You know? She could have been like, we need you, Obi-Wan, like, please,
Well, like years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. Yeah, like, it's
God.
And of course, it's in that moment in A New Hope where finally, before that, no one really considered Leia part of the rebellion, of course. But directly after the events of Rogue One, when Vader captures the ship, he says, "You are a traitor and a member of the Rebel Alliance." It's like at that moment he realizes that she's actually part of the rebellion. So I thought that was good. But
God,
I also liked that Obi-Wan said, like, should you ever, need a broken down old Jedi, we'll meet again or whatever. And which again, it goes back to him watching the hologram in New Hope and saying, I'm getting too old for this kind of thing. Like it was a nice mirror of that as well.
God. And the best part too is, Alec Guinness obviously had a lot of nuance with every little movement and moment. And now we get like it more fleshed out when he sees the hologram and he goes and leans back and thinks about it, the decision he has to make. I don't know. It's such a wild
He's going to
scene.
explain this to Luke too,
Yes. How can I even figure this out? That being said, that moment's wrapped up. Jerry, did you have anything else you want to add to that before we moved on to the last two big moments?
Let's move on to the last.
We get Leia's goodbye.
Yes.
But we get Luke's what, Jerry? You can say the line. We get Leia's goodbye. We get Luke's.
Hello there.
Oh my God. And
he says it very Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
No, sorry, very Alec Guinness, excuse me.
Yes. God, and it's so well done because it's not too on the nose, for the most part. But it was greeting. Like, yes, it's what, but it makes sense structurally.
It was the best part for them to put it in there. That was the best part.
Yeah,
for them to put it.
It did become a meme and everything, and it was played a little bit as a joke in Revenge of the Sith. But like the first thing, like he says when he greets R2 in A New Hope is "Hello there." Like that's he's a crazy old desert hermit. That's what he. That's what
his
says.
greeting. Yeah,
they did it, and they did it so well.
Did anyone? I'm sorry. It was that's I was waiting for them to drop a hello there in a random weird spot as like a wink, wink, nod, nod. Mm-hmm. This is the best place they could have dropped it. It was pitch perfect. It didn't feel to me. It didn't feel ham-fisted at all. It was just very hello there. It felt very natural
with the model in his hand. God,
right.
So good.
But
crazy old wizard.
Were any of you surprised that Owen said this? This kind of surprised me. Owen's like, "Would you like to meet him?" He hasn't been formally introduced to Luke. I went like, nope. "What the? What?" We've already said too many. I guess I get one. What the fuck? He hasn't met him.
Yeah, I loved it.
Which is great, but like he's dropping that thing off like Santa Claus at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
But just it's a great moment between him and Owen. It's a little like Owen going like, "Man, I'm sorry. Would you want to meet him?"
Yeah, and it was also nice too because not only does he sort of meet him formally at this moment, but he's moving, right? Like he packed up the cave and he's headed out to the Dune Sea. And when Luke says, "Oh, I wonder if they mean old Ben Kenobi," he lives out in the Dune Sea. Like that's like his frame of reference for him. It's a guy that he's met maybe a couple of times. We know from the comics that they've interacted as well. But do you think because Obi-Wan had that ship, right, that he was flying around in from?
I was wondering that too. Yeah,
I think he sold the ship and
probably
bought
the house,
bought a modest dwelling.
Or he went to like
modest
Space Lowe's,
modest ranch,
bought supplies, and him and Ghost Qui-Gon are going to build the house together.
It never clicked with me until watching it, but like thinking about that house, it's a house that overlooks, Mos Eisley. And it's kind of cool to think that he purposely bought a higher area so he could be
and check it out. Like, Qui-Gon showing up. Obviously, I know we want to talk about that, but when Qui-Gon says, "Come on, we've got a ways to go," it's like he's leading him into the desert to where he's going to build this house. And it is going to overlook Luke's, dwelling. And in its own way, it's the high ground as
overlook the Dune Sea. Yeah.
And that does lead us to our big moment. Oh, Jerry, what's up?
Well, I was just going to say, Adam's got me really like, I love the thought of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like Ghost Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan building the house together. And I just have like them like Qui-Gon and like that stuff from the behind the scenes, the glasses and like the hat, the umbrella hat. But it's like, people, let me tell you about my best friend. Like them just like hammering and stuff, like throwing like dust at each other, like ha.
It's like every sitcom that you've ever seen where it's like they're like painting and Qui-Gon takes the paint roller and like rolls paint onto Obi-Wan and you know
like
good natured
Obi-Wan throws a hammer, it goes through him, and then he throws one and it hits him in the face, you know.
I like how it was done. I really do. And when I'll let Nick have his opinion on streaming Star Wars tomorrow, but I'm not gonna even relate, and I'm not gonna relate to it because we talked about it with Nick earlier before we joined the stream. But to see this, for me personally, and I know everyone in this stream right now, maybe not in the comments,
I'm with you,
but everyone in this stream is a really big Phantom Menace fan. I think all three of us, I would say, are probably some of the biggest ones that I know personally. But it was this that truly like uncontrollable tears, because it wasn't so much emotional or heavy. It was just knowing that they finally pulled it off. And like Liam Neeson looks great. I saw some people with some shitty comments about it, but I think he looks amazing only because
he looks wild.
He's so coy. He may be the most coy about it. Like he's probably the best at doing it. I would never do television, you know. Star Wars is for the big screen. I only do big screen appearances. And like yet he's doing Tales of the Jedi.
He's done Clone Wars.
This,
God,
he's done Clone Wars. Like to see this happen, because this is, you know, and I'm very happy to say this, especially to YouTube. Y'all, they found Liam's wig.
They found it. They found it. It's not as fucking grim as it used to be.
No, it's not as fucking grim. You can tell. Look at this.
Scotty, I thought of you. You were saying you thought of me in certain moments. I thought of you in this moment.
Did you? I saw.
Yeah.
You can ask absolutely. Eric Cottam, and hopefully he's watching this or watching the replay, and he can vouch for it. I was destroyed because he's my favorite Jedi. He's just truly in every way. And to see him look at they got everything right. The like not correct length hair where one side's longer than the other hair thing. They have the
oh my God, you really have thought about this. I didn't even notice
I
that.
did. No, that's the first thing I noticed is his hair was
wish
the
I
different
could
length.
be I want to be there for the unhinged like Charlie Day with the wall of red wire of you and Eric just, like figuring out everything about Liam Neeson and Qui-Gon.
But the line took you long enough just goes to show that he has really been waiting. You know, he had been with him this whole time. And, you know, the Master and Apprentice short story from a certain point of view kind of does say that they had been in communications between a certain time and another time. But like to have that flow back and to think, and like this is the most comforting thing after Obi-Wan being in isolation, experiencing what he experienced, you know, it was traumatic. But to know that come on, we got a long ways to go. Like that was like, I'm not gonna lie,
he's not
that's
alone.
What made me trip the most, because he is truly going to be walking with his master all the way to where they go and talking about everything they experienced. And it's funny, this show did have a really good bookend, and I'm sure a lot of people do want a second season. I, for one, if they ended it here, I'd be fine. But what I would want if they did make a second season would be just them chilling, just them talking for 7 episodes, like getting caught up, talking about the future. Like that's what I want, you know?
It's like, Obi-Wan, do you know there's a universe where they have this thing called a pizza and they have stuffed cheese into the crust? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I just wait until you become one. It's great.
I love too that it was like a footprints in the sand. Jesus is carrying me.
Yes, Gerry said that. Yes,
I said that always here. You know, you just weren't ready to see. You know, I loved it.
I'm going to knit this and put it on a doily and stuff like this. Is going to hang above my couch. Is Qui-Gon going, I've been with you the whole time. You just weren't ready to see.
Yeah.
God. And like, I don't know. It's the one, it's like, it's almost like the stinger. And like, this is almost like the biggest FU to people that hated on the Phantom Menace. And I mean that, like, you almost shouldn't have a right to cheer if you shit on that movie, because if it wasn't for that movie, none of this arc would have existed. If it wasn't for that movie, we wouldn't have had such a triumphant return of Qui-Gon. And like, I don't know, I get very personal with that movie because I know people that don't like it, but those same people probably freaked the hell out when this happened but that's where this character shines, is just in that movie. I don't know. And how cool is it
that character sticks out to a lot of people who don't even like the Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace,
most people gravitate towards Qui-Gon because he is that picture of like we've said, the most Jedi to ever Jedi. And I've said before, like Qui-Gon Jinn is the last of the High Republic Jedi. He's the last of that mindset of for light and life.
Yeah. See, Adam, do you want to add anything else to that before we kind of close this whole thing out?
Yeah, I was just gonna, to put a positive slant on it. Like, my relationship with the prequels has been somewhat complicated. Like I said, I'm 37, and so when those movies came out, I was in 8th grade for Phantom Menace and so on.
Wow.
I saw Revenge of the Sith in college, so I started out loving them. And I found myself constantly being in the position of being an apologist for them and a defender of them. And at some point, I did sort of say, well, maybe I just want to focus on the original trilogy, the theatrical cut of the original trilogy, and that's where I'm going to live. And then Clone Wars really brought me around to fully embracing that era of Star Wars storytelling again. And I love the prequels now. I loved them then, but I did go through a period where I found myself wondering, how do I feel about, like, especially coming from a background of film studies and criticism and stuff. And, the idea that these films weren't made good, or, even though they were so groundbreaking, the constant stuff we hear about dialogue and writing and acting.
Right.
But, if there are people out there that do not like the prequels, but they find themselves connecting with, as I said before, the new prequel trilogy of Kenobi, Solo, Rogue One, and it makes them go back and reconsider those movies, then that's great to me.
I agree.
Because, I do think that a lot of people saw those movies and they wrote them off and they never bothered to go back to reconsider them. But I think what these series are doing, and especially with Disney Plus having everything there all in one place, it is a lot of people are going back and watching these movies for the first time in 10, 15 years, and I think fresh eyes are key. So, and
beautifully stated.
Right.
That's what Star Wars is so good at in general, is going back, like picking an era, going back and filling in the gaps between those eras and informing the stories on both sides of them and making you appreciate them more. Like all the criticisms that people might have had of the prequels of, oh, well, we didn't get to see enough of Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship and stuff. Well, you got 7 seasons of Clone Wars that fully fleshed that out, And I think this series did a lot of heavy lifting in that regard as well. We're just going to continue to see that. Like I said earlier with Shadow of the Sith, now we're in the Mando verse. Now we're starting to layer in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So it's just something that Star Wars has always done and always will do. And wherever we go in the future, whether it's Old Republic or 200 years in the future or however they want to do it, they'll establish a new point and then they'll work their way, forward and back from it. So
it's so well done. Yeah. It's so well done in that sense of like, you can really go in at any point and really drop a new story in. As long as it fits in some capacity, you can do it. Right. And like Qui-Gon showing back up was that literally like you could visualize this show as a Christmas tree. And it sounds so stupid, but like you got the lights, you got the tree, you've got whatever ornaments you put in there, you've got the base for, like, you got everything that would make this a beautiful Christmas tree, and the star on the freaking top was like, and you got Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, we gave you everything we could possibly give you that makes sense canonically, structurally, emotionally, and it's perfect. And this whole series has been one of the few things that I think, like, I tend to not rewatch things because I don't want the luster to go away. And I'm an adult now, and it's different to watch it. Like, it's hard to watch, the Rise of Skywalker, because I love the movie, but it's like you got to kind of cut a night out for it. But as a kid, you would just put those VHSs in, those DVDs in,
just let them on.
Like the second you get home from school, have them on a loop. The special features, all of it. But it's like, it's kind of cool that I could watch Kenobi now broken up, and I can be like, oh, Let me just watch this first episode. What
it's
do I
like
get out of it
having.
now?
I'm just gonna have one piece of pie tonight, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and maybe tomorrow I'll have 2, or maybe I'll watch a different. Maybe I'll eat a different.
You know what? Maybe this
pie,
weekend I'm gonna eat a whole effing pie.
Yes, and I will. Hopefully, Katie will go do something with somebody on the weekend because I will gladly watch this whole thing in one sitting. Like you said, Adam, with a big, like you said, you're gonna have a big piece of. You're gonna have a pizza. You're gonna have some food. You're just gonna be able to sit there and enjoy it. I know we talked about that before.
Yeah.
But that being said, to kind of wrap up this whole conversation, is there anything that disappointed you? Anything? I could say there's one thing, and I bitched about it already on previous streams. If you don't mind me airing my grievances, because one thing I don't like about the marketing for these new shows and movies is that they tend to lean into music that is not featured in the show. Now, that's not disregarding any of the good new music we got, because I was blown away by the fight song that felt like Return of the Jedi, that huge operatic score with like people, choral bands, choral groups singing. But I really was disappointed by the lack of Duel of the Fates, Battle of the Heroes, Anakin's Dark Deeds, Padre's Ruminations. I mean, you had like 5 really powerful songs that you could somewhat emulate. And I think a couple of the new songs were in the same key as Battle of the Heroes and Duel of the Fates. But like, that's my only gripe. I mean, the whole show was a 9 out of 10 for me if they had pulled just, I don't know, one of these new songs. And like I'm saying, it's not because of the artistic direction. It's how they market it, And I mean that. Like, please stop. Like, please stop marketing these movies with Duel of the Fates, because all I want to do is sit there in the show and hear Korra Ratama and be like, and at the celebration panel, they introduced it with the chorus singing that. So I'm like, it's inevitable. They're going to do it. And it's my truly only
bait and switch, classic bait and switch for Scotty.
Only gripe is that they didn't promise on that. Not that it was guaranteed, but if you do market something with those songs, please, for the love of God, throw them in there in some capacity. That's my only complaint. That's literally it. The only thing I got bad to say. So,
Scotty, if I can make you feel better, literally today, when Eleanor got to my house, my kiddo, I started randomly. She mentioned Rainbow Unicorn because she's a unicorn kid. And I started going, Rainbow Unicorn, Rainbow Unicorn, Rainbow Unicorn. And I showed her that song and she wanted to listen. She's like, I want to listen to that song. We listened to Duel of the Fates on the Alexa for a little bit. And then I showed her the sing-along version where it's got the corn on the cob, and she lost it when it got to Simba, panda. Anyway.
Yeah.
So if I can console you in that, just know that
someone out there still
she loves that song. She loves that song.
Anyway. That's good. Jerry or Adam, do y'all feel the same way? Do y'all have any thoughts on that?
I definitely agree with you on the music element, which I thought the music was super strong on its own.
Same,
but that was such a thing with the Rise of Skywalker. Man, they should have used Duel of Fates in that movie. That cutting that into the trailer with the Ben and Rey duel, man, that really should have been in the movie. I share frustrations there with the marketing side of things. Whether it's the timeline that they decide to roll this stuff out on or what have you. There's definitely some kinks that need to be worked out there. As far as the show disappointments, I think I have maybe 2 or 3 different elements to talk about, and none of them are like super major.
Yeah.
Number one is I really felt the limitations of the volume in this series.
Okay.
More so than Mando or Book of Boba Fett. And, a lot of it, there's artistic reasons, the sense of claustrophobia that I think they wanted you to feel in a lot of these scenes. But a lot of the backgrounds and stuff sometimes were sort of indiscernible. Like Jabeam, I really don't have a good sense of what that planet is like because we just saw like a cave, I would have liked to seen more of that planet. I would have liked to have seen more of Dayu, but I felt like the series really didn't open up visually until the last episode where we got that great shot. And maybe again, that was all deliberate, but it did really feel like you could tell this is the volume. This is just a set in front of a screen sometimes. And, that's fine. I get it. But so that's one thing. Two, I really felt like outside of the Grand Inquisitor and Reva, didn't really know what the rest of the Inquisitors were doing.
That's fair for canon people like us. That's fair because all we saw was
got a little bit of fifth brother
being pissed the whole time, but he just pissed the whole time. He didn't really, he just
three
throws Reva
episodes,
against a wall, and that's it. That's literally the extent.
And I totally get it because the Inquisitors existing in Rebels and comics and stuff. There's a lot of continuity going on there with them that maybe they just didn't want to wade into the weeds with. Maybe it's just safer to leave that out. But I wish maybe we could have got a scene of them dispatching this Nari Jedi at the beginning or something. I mean, I just wanted to see them do something. I guess they sort of felt like the Knights of Ren here. They looked awesome, point. But they didn't really do a whole lot. So
okay,
yeah.
And then finally, just an overall criticism with the Disney era of Star Wars in general. I love aliens and droids. And I'm sick and tired of seeing all of these humans in Star Wars. I totally get the diversity push to have everyone represented, and I love it. But at the same time, where are all the great alien characters? Like Phantom Menace, we've been talking about it. It's like Watto, Boss Nass, Jar Jar, Sebulba, all in one movie, all these great alien characters. The sequel trilogy didn't really have a whole lot of great alien characters.
I agree.
Maz was great, but then she does nothing in 2 movies. So they didn't
Low and Low. He was like a cameo,
Right. And Rogue One, everybody was human. Whereas if you have the art book, that conceptually there were definitely aliens in that crew.
Yep.
Kira from Solo was originally envisioned as an alien to an extent. And so it's just sort of frustrating that, in the scenes on Tatooine, right? 90% human.
All of them are human in the background.
And it's just
there's maybe 4 or 5 aliens.
Just put a rubber mask on someone, paint someone blue. That's all I want.
Yep.
So we did get a couple cool ones, Freck.
Freck. Yeah.
He was a willing, pretty decent, even though he was a terrible, scummy fascist. I mean, at least he was an alien character that was integral to the story. And that's all I want.
Sure.
Yeah. I want alien and droid characters that are integral to the story. And I loved Ned B, my sweet droid boy, and they killed him.
Oh, wonderful.
And, I really loved him and Tala, and I was bummed to see both of them die. But so that's just sort of an overarching criticism, humans, great. But man, the point of Star Wars is that you can empathize with something that's not human, right?
Yes.
Right.
That you can feel feelings for a droid or a little green frog guy. To me, that's part of Star Wars. And so I really, I want to see more alien characters front and center. I think the future of Star Wars is a big thing to ponder, but obviously Grogu will be a big part of that.
Of course.
Right. If they want to skip 200 years, we have an alien character in their prime that can carry on a new era of Star Wars. But I just want to see more aliens and droids, guys. That's all I want.
Yeah,
I agree. And that's your niche. That's what you like. That's something you really identify and enjoy. And that's why, and look, that's kind of probably why you like Book of Boba Fett, because that gave us a good bit of the weird,
That's what I was going to say. I know we've had Cad Bane for a long time, but that really gives me hope, the way that Cad Bane was so integral to the end of that story.
Poetically done.
I think that it makes me feel like we could eventually get a Shriv or or not even just Shriv, just not even an established character, give us a new one. But let's follow Tyranno Man, that as Chris Ryan so lovingly named the Velociraptor bounty hunter in the second episode.
Yeah.
See, that was a little bit of that, right? And there was some of it, Adam. I agree with you, but to give us a more impactful story,
the main character
is to be desired. Yeah, I would love nothing more than even Skeleton Crew featuring a Rodian the whole time.
Exactly.
Just
like the crew of younglings from Clone Wars, make them like that,
And that was something that Clone Wars and Rebels, of course, never shied away from. You know, they just pack
it was
aliens
probably
in there.
easiest.
Yeah.
Zeb,
I think they're scared of general audience, honestly. Like the being like, oh, I want to understand the people, blah blah blah. But they need to just not do it. They need to have a Gungan come back in something someday. Please bring back Jar Jar. Bring back another Gungan.
Give us a Gungan. Damn it. Give us a Gungan.
Just
give
us
give us the Gungan. Like there's a new T-shirt right there. Give us the Gungan. Show me the Gungan.
Gerry.
No, but like, give us don't stop being all pitter pattery, like, you know, gun shy. Like, this is Star Wars. There are aliens. There are droids. There are everything. Like these myriad species in the galaxy that are sentient and are beings.
Yeah,
they have feelings like we do.
And going back to the marketing. Hey, don't tell me Claude's going to be in Rise of Skywalker like it's a big deal, and then he's in it for 2 seconds. Don't do
for
that.
2 seconds.
Hey, that line though, raw and
iconic. But yeah, don't show me a bunch of behind the scenes photos of a giant banana slug alien, and then he's not even in the movie.
Not promise us
don't
on
give
it.
me banana slug alien if banana slug alien isn't the plucky sidekick, please.
Yeah, silly.
So Gerry, to kind of get your point of view, I mean, you know, and Gerry, you're never one to complain on me that I've known you for almost 4 years now. But my friend, anything that maybe you had a gripe with?
I think in this last episode, it was just at the beginning, I felt a little like, oh, I don't know about this with them reciting their old lines. Like right before the fight, that got me a little, but like, again, I love it now. That's my thing is I'll have like little twinges of, oh no. And then go, oh, you know what? I love this. You know, it's great. Like that's kind of my default, especially with Star Wars, something I love. And I didn't think I was capable of honestly severe hatred of a franchise until Morbius, but you know,
stupid.
Speaking of which, Mr. Hey, Jared, how you doing, man?
Do you have a tail, or is that your hair in the back? Hair and a tail. Wow. The best of both worlds.
Thank you! 私の髪の毛と尻尾はとっても自慢の髪の毛と尻尾なんです。ありがとうございます。
Yeah, it really such a unique little character. It's mesmerizing. Anyway, I forgot the question.
Can't stand you, Gerry.
That was absolutely amazing. And I do not like Jared Leto one bit, but let me tell you right now, put Jared Leto in a Rhodian mask and let him fly.
Let him go. I'm not even going to call him Jared Leto anymore. I told Scotty, I'm just going to call him Jared. Hey, thanks, Jared. We're on a first name basis, but the best of both worlds. That's my favorite part of that whole thing. It's the best of both worlds. But no, honestly, everything about this, this is the most perfect Star Wars to me.
Yeah,
right now.
I agree.
And like Adam, you said it was the best and everything earlier. You named it as your best. I think it might be like this is one of my favorite parts of Star Wars right now. My parents are, I've said this every week. My parents are coming up in July, the end of July. And my sister and brother-in-law, and
have they waited?
They haven't seen it. No, none of them. They don't watch this stuff unless they watch it with me. But this one is going to be so special to watch with, especially my parents, who are the ones who, again, were like, "Oh, this is a cool thing our son would like," and then I got they liked it, and then I got engulfed by it. But I can't wait to experience that with them. But just again,
that's beautiful.
It's a beautiful cut that there's no fat on it at all. It feels like only the delicious fat, fat that works with the meat. It's marbled. It's marbled. No gristle, well marbled.
Maybe no gristle because Klieg Lars isn't around. If Klieg was around,
that's right.
Grizzled.
Extra, give me the gristle. I'm trying to regrow my leg.
That's always been the best bit. I want to say one thing too. I loved being able to talk about this with y'all. And to finalize the full conversation, I had kind of wanted to do best, favorite, most fun. But I don't want to do that. I want to do how long and what kind of Eopie fart was this episode for you. Now, Adam watched
I almost
Claire,
forgot we were
and I
going to
think
do
Chase
this.
do
I watched
theirs.
Chase, yeah.
You watch Chase. Chase is incredible. Chase is not crass. Chase is the furthest thing from crass. He's very, he's very straightforward and he's funny, but he's not. He
He's a
doesn't want to
sweet young man.
delve into that thing. He's such a sweet angel. Speaking of, he'll be on Skywalking for the League tomorrow. I will be on that with him. So
awesome.
me, Chase,
Check
and
them
Bill
out.
Sheehy and Annie Sheehy. But that being said, who wants to go first? Adam, I think I can't tell.
Adam needs to go.
I'll go just because I feel like it's going to be underwhelming in comparison. I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot. But I thought, is it 6 farts because it's the 6th episode? Do I do 6 farts? Ooh. What do I do? So I think that sums it up. It's like a very satisfying, like you've been holding it in for 5 episodes and we finally got to it. It's time to let it loose. And that's it. And we're done.
Wow.
Just a quick in and out. Yeah. Like not like again. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Like it's the relief and just the peace that you feel after one like that. It's just like,
is this like the
serenity.
right when you get home ones, or is this when you get in the car ones? Because those are 2 different things.
I think this is like right when you get around a corner where there's nobody. I
think this is like when you're at Target and your significant other is like looking at the like the clothes, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go around the corner and look at the toys real quick, and then you just slip into an empty aisle right next to the Lego sets and just let it rip. I think that's
no one's around. It's late. It's late at night though. It's like 8.
And it's louder than you expect. But
after dinner, after like Texas Roadhouse. Oh my god.
And you like knock over something in the toy aisle just to sort of cover the sound, like, oh shit.
Yes, you drop something. Oh my god, Adam, that's great. Wow.
When you're in line at the Vatican, when you've gotten inside. Yes.
True story, slightly traumatic. When I was a kid, I have a distinct memory of going into a Kmart. I don't know if you remember a Kmart.
Yes, of course. Very well.
I remember distinctly being in the CD section with my dad. And my dad just letting one like totally rip, like totally. Yeah. And then he looks at me and goes, Adam, why did you do that? And walks away.
That is so dad. Holy shit.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe that's what it was like. I'm just going to drop it and blame someone else.
And you're going to have to like sit there and experience it. That's beautiful. Wow, Adam, that very well stated. Gerry, do you have one in mind?
Man, I should have been thinking about this. Just real quick. Yes, I do know Kmart. I am also a child of the Blue Light Special. Thank you very much.
Yes, the best.
But oh man, it's hard to do anything but like just say this is just it is that it's something you've been anticipating for a long time. I don't want to copy Adams, but like it's one you've been anticipating for a long time. You finally have that release, and it's a literal cathartic experience, a cathartic experience, if you will. And it's man, it's just it's all good, but it also like it makes you feel things. Like you're riding waves of emotion with this one.
You're like, oh, shit.
You're riding waves of emotion. And so if I had to say what it would, let's see, I think it would sound, what would it sound like?
Wow.
Thank you.
You really nailed it. You really got down to the core of it.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
I like the air in between, because there's a little bit of air, like a little bit of air from your asshole, but then it got stuck in the butt cheeks again. It was like
yeah.
It's like,
you know
nice.
what? You know what? I had a friend in college. We were on a chorus trip. Yes, I used to do chorus. Don't you? Blah 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 blah.
That's great.
We stopped at a gas station. We're all pissing because we've been on a long ass car trip. And actually, Gallinorian Saber will know who this is. I won't say his name on stream, but I think you might know this story. There's like 3 urinals, all full, and all of a sudden you just hear, I mean, it was like the ending of Looney Tunes,
like a slide whistle.
It had levels. It was like it had the beginning, you had the overture, it had the brass section, and then it ended with a finale. The big finale, the big finish. So that's what this was like. That's what this was like.
That's good.
It was my friend. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'll just say his nickname. My friend Wawa. And that was a Wawa fart. So there you go.
That was a Wawa
Not
fart.
from Wawa's, which I didn't know was a thing until like a couple years after that. So anyway.
Okay, beautifully stated. My fart.
Thank you.
Simply put, it's the one that happens in your 8th grade social studies class, and you're almost proud of it because you were trying to sneak it out. You're spreading your butt cheeks in that little fucking said it again, tiny blue seat,
like
and you're like, let me spread my cheeks a little bit before I let this monster out, and it does this. It does this.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
What was, and no one knows what that noise could have been. They don't know if it was a fart or like a bird outside the window, but the area around it is a little bit more putrid. But it's like perfect. It's like it's almost, because it's funny to you and maybe your friend sitting in front of you because you know that it was like, you have that telepathic thing with your best friend where you're like, oh my god, that Scott just like that was the best fart in the world. But it was beautiful because no one knew how good it was going to be, but only you yourself. And it's like, it's ultimately what you take with you, right? It's what you get out of it. And it was truly and you're like, wow.
You're like, goodbye, Darth.
Right. Goodbye, Darth.
I'm leaving this here.
Goodbye, Darth. I'm leaving this.
I'm burying this in the sand.
Smell you again?
It's like it's getting away with. It's having one, and it's audible, but you can get away with it being like you scooted your foot across the ground or something.
Yes, or a door closed.
Like,
oh yeah,
that actually happened to me in the parking lot of my apartment just this week. Actually, guy was smoking out on his porch. You're like, I was like, oh, I got away with it. Yeah.
Well, it's time for us to come to a close. This is one of the longer episodes of Bombad, but it's the episode that deserves it, and I mean that. Like, this episode deserves as much discussion as you can get. I can't wait to hear other people's thoughts on it as well. But Jerry, what do you want to add?
Well, just say we had to do an epic episode with this being the first, the amazing foretold meeting, or not meeting, but bringing together of the Bombadcast and Adam Frazier. So we had to make it epic and long and keep like Adam up.
But it's funny. When I planned this back in April, I knew in the back of my head, because I'm like, let's see how this flows, because I know a lot of the people are going to be at Celebration. I knew Claire was going to be, I knew Adam was going to be, I knew Kyle Katarn was going to be, I knew Chase was going to all be there. And it's funny, like, not to say I saved the best for last, but there is something to Adam that I've always appreciated, especially in terms of his love for the prequels. And all 3 of those people do love the prequels. Everyone else does. Yeah. But Adam's the one that I always connected with, even before, like, I think right when we started podcasting, like, Adam was the one that would always mess with my Phantom Menace tweets, or even if they were supposed to be stupid or funny, he got it. And so I knew that in some capacity, this show would put a perfect little, finality to the prequel and also the original trilogy in a weird way. So I'm thankful that you said yes and you were like, let's do it, because this has been a blast talking to you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
My sweet friend Adam.
Honestly,
where can the people find you?
The first of many times.
That's right. Damn it.
Yes.
Yes. You listen,
I'm just
Adam. You
started, to quote
you are cut from the Bombad cloth, my friend.
That's right.
Well, that's how this started, because I remember being, like I said, I was in 8th grade when Phantom Menace came out, and I remember getting that DVD and just watching the beginning and all those special features just over and over and over again. And then, like I said, I went through a period where maybe I wasn't really thinking about the prequels a whole lot. And so I put all that stuff away in the back of my mind. And then when I see Scotty out here tweeting about Rick McCallum and quoting the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, like it unlocked, it unlocked something in me where I was just like thinking about Liam's wig in Prague, and man, it just totally reignited my love of it all. So
I still can't say Prague the way that Rick McCallum does. No one can replicate.
No one can.
Prague.
Nope. Prague.
So where you can find me, I write Star Wars Bits for Slash Film, which is a weekly column that comes out on Fridays. And like I said earlier, if you are a fan creator, if you have a zine or a channel or a podcast, hit me up on Twitter at Adam Frazier, and that's Frazier. And I'd love to consider it for the column. And then I occasionally write movie reviews at Poppin' Pizza, which you can also find on my Twitter. And yeah, that's about it.
One of the best. Adam, we appreciate you deeply. We always play a very special clip for all of our new one and only member club people, and we will play it right now. Get ready to transcend. And I know you've seen it, but live on air.
Live, yeah.
This is your wake-up call. Time to reach, go for it all. Vulture stirs inside of me, and I know what I can be. Limit is the sky. Hey world, watch me fly. The best part of waking up is vultures in your cup.
Oh, there he is. Enjoying
so
the
good.
moment.
Oh,
it's so good, Adam. I'm glad you could enjoy it.
You know, Kiss was my first concert.
Oh, this makes it all the better. Oh, geez.
It was
I love hearing that.
It was like 97, 98, somewhere in there. It was like the first farewell tour, all the original.
Oh,
members.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was my first concert, and Ted Nugent.
So you saw them. No way. But you saw them with Ace.
I did see him with Ace.
Wow, that's a big deal. It was Ace and I think Eric Singer at the time. Holy crap.
Was Skid Row with like two of the original members, and then Ted Nugent, who attached his guitar to a cable and raised it up into the ceiling and then shot a flaming arrow at it and set it on fire. And then Kiss came out, and Kiss was amazing. They had like the full set where they were like flying out into the audience, and all kind of stuff.
Wow.
God, so yeah, it was destined. So awesome. It was destined to be here.
Destined. It just worked. One thing I will say too is just to get the plug in. Next week we'll be launching our Patreon. So please, if you haven't yet, if you are considering it, remember it's either $7 a month or you can set your own price. If you still want the perks that we offer, which is a lot, exclusive call-in shows, a Patreon group chat, question and answer segment, Patreon live stream hangouts, a bi-monthly care package with little stickers and goodies, live watch-alongs and shout-outs at the beginning and ending of every stream. Just know that will be occurring starting next week, and we're very excited to bring what we're going to bring to the table. But all that being said, a tradition of the Bombadcast, and Adam is obviously rocking the shirt. He's been rocking it this whole entire evening. Adam, can you give us the wonderful Stay Bombad phrase so we can close out this beautiful show?
Hey, guys. Stay Bombad.
Did you say impossible? Pasquale? Only kidding, Chucky. I've changed my tune because I finally thought of a possible dream that we can all share. What is it?
Pasquale?
It's a dream about a world when nobody is poor or sick or hungry.
Oh, now that's a dream we can make come true.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
As I point up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind.
I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need?
dream of being gone for long. See you in a little bit.
Here's that rainy day they told me about, and I laughed at the thought.
Jared lost to me in trivia, and he's a great Jedi.